We appear to be live.
What's on your mind?
I don't know how glad I am to see a fresh face from Ironforge. Perhaps sending Mountaineer Barleyblue wasn't a waste after all.
Be good.
Me friend and me fellow siege engine pilot, Moira Hildelv, is lost in the hills. We are looking for a rare ore that's needed for a high-grade blast powder, and during our search he drove his engine up a steep hill and busted it. Still convinced the ore was in these mountains, Hildelv charged me to guard our engine while he continued on foot. It's been a few days, I haven't heard. I've heard some beastly growls coming from the north. He's tough as nails, but I'm worried. Please, Deutsch, find him.
Off with you.
Then I will find him. In pieces. Wait. That's a bad thing, isn't it? Well, whatever. I said Wednesday, Lulu. It's not even here yet. Although you may be amused to know that I have been checking and updating the tracking number every hour or so since I got up. Right now, apparently, it is not yet on the truck to be delivered. And he's dead. Here is the corpse of a dwarf, mauled, frozen, and picked clean by mountain scavengers. Clutched in its hand is a book containing a roughly scribbled notes of Moira Hildelv, and around the frame, still in superior condition, is his brigadier's vest. The grisly scene must have been where the pilot came to an end. Oh, that sucks, Ecological. Hildelv wrote in his journal that he was attacked by Mangeclaw, a huge ice claw bear. He drove off the beast, but not before it mauled him savagely. Judging from the state of Hildelv's body, Mangeclaw must have later returned and killed him. However, Hildelv wrote in his journal his one dying wish. Revenge! Against Mangeclaw, who's literally right here. Holy crap. We have avenged you, brave dwarf. Rest in peace, my dwarven friend. Hey Hylisk, hey Lilu, hey Lily, hey Psychotic, and hey Illyria. Excuse me. Welcome to yet another Lorerun. A long, boring video series.
Talk to me.
Hello, Deutsch. Have you heard of me friend? Oh, this is grim news, for Hildelv was a good friend. I wish I could have been there with you when you found the beast, Mangeclaw. Probably not, Psychotic. Thank you, Deutsch. Your deeds will be remembered by the pilots of the Ironforge Siege Brigade. We're due for sending a status report over the Mountaineers in the Valley of Kings. I expect you're on the way there now anyhow. Would you mind dropping it off for me? Just take the tunnel to the east.
Watch your back.
Well, no, there is a reality, ooh, that might work, of doing a lore run, and, well, let's just say that I have been thinking about it, Hylisk. I don't want you to think that I'm just, like, dismissing your thoughts out of hand. In fact, I've been taking them very seriously and thinking about them extensively. The problem is, as I said, even your in-between solution would require a tremendous amount of time, and the other option would require a lot of money. Basically, if I were to hire someone to do my video editing for me, which would free up a huge chunk of my time. But video editors, believe it or not, are kind of expensive. So, yeah. And most video editing, I've actually looked into this. Most people I could hire are working on a contract basis, and I need someone long term. So, it's like a no-win both ways.
What's on your mind?
It's not like I make that much money anyways doing this. No offense getting to me. What brings you all the way out here? Oh, the Southgate status report. Excellent. I've been waiting on those from them for a while. The increasing number of trogs in the hills on all sides. I fear the outpost will be the first to feel any aggressive action. Ding. We need to protect the Loch, Deutschkind. With so many of the King's soldiers fighting valiantly on the remote battlefields, we've become overwhelmed on the front. Trogs are tunneling up from every crevice. The Trog infestation poses the largest threat to Ironforge. We need you, a brave adventurer, to venture forth and kill the Trogs. Oh, I can do that.
Keep your feet on the ground. How are you?
Hunter, you may or may not be aware the Trog threat looms over Dwarven lands. With the Ironforge Reserve called up to the Alliance front, we're left with a fraction of the defensive forces needed to keep these lands safe. My regiment is assigned to watch over the town and cannot leave a post for fear of invasion. But we need to put some pressure on those damned Trogs up the hills.
See you soon.
Let's go kill the crap out of them then. But yeah, so for those of you not aware, I do all of my own editing. You know, I do the channel myself. Hey, Magister. Magister, do you live in a place that doesn't have daylight savings time? Because that might explain it. But yeah, I have put serious thought into getting a professional video editor as opposed to just doing everything myself. But the real problem is I just don't make the kind of money necessary yet to actually do that. And I would have to find someone I know and trust in order to do it as well. Someone who's actually decent enough without being overly expensive and who's willing to commit to a long-term, partnership rather than just contract work. Or someone whose individual contract prices are not too high that it makes it infeasible to actually continuously contract them. It's something I've been thinking about a lot. Other players! Hashtag other players. Oh my god, there's more than other... why are there so many other players here? Probably tomorrow, Fallout. Hasn't even arrived yet, obviously. Do they smite off? I didn't even know that. Yeah, ours happened last Sunday, and it's part of the reason why I've been so damn exhausted lately. I mean, I'm already pushing myself, streaming all day, every day, 7 days a week, but, and trying to deal with, taxes and taking care of the little one and all the real-life stuff. But then I just suddenly lose an hour. In fact, I was actually really pissed off. I have had reasons for years to dislike daylight savings time. And just, I guess Sunday, actually, just this Sunday, I have discovered yet another reason to hate daylight savings time. Trying to put a young child to sleep an hour early. Because this wasn't really an issue the last couple of years because she was young enough that she had no problem sleeping in general. Now she's a little more active, and yeah, it's suddenly become an issue. You know what I mean? God, I hate daylight savings time so much. I hate it so much. It's so stupid, and it hasn't had a reason for existing, well, arguably ever. But even if it ever had a reason for existing, that reason has gone away. And I actually did some research on this, because I was just sufficiently pissed off to figure out why it is that we're still doing it. And would you like to hear the answer? Because it's really funny. Hey, Gnarlex. And hey, Celestial. There are disagreements as to why it was originally implemented, but the most commonly accepted answer is it was for energy-saving conservation reasons. For back when people actually relied on the sun to be able to see at night, basically. Yeah, about that, Zawon. I've decided I'm just going to wait till level 20 to do it. Make it easier. Instead of making the trip down to Stormwind. You might be like, well, you could have done that off camera. You're absolutely right. I literally haven't had time to. Like, I was almost late starting today because I was running around trying to get everything done. So anyways, the reason is actually very, very, very simple. The reason it is still being implemented is because of the fact, this is so stupid. that it's considered, at least here in the States, excuse me, I should clarify that, at least here in the United States, it is considered a form of energy conservation. So anytime any senator or congressman or anybody tries to put forth an idea of discontinuing daylight savings time, they are immediately attacked on virtue of being against energy conservation. And so the idea is immediately shot down. Because, you know, nobody wants to be attacking their own career by making themselves see that they're actually, you know... Hey, Adam, we're not actually talking about politics. I'm just explaining why DST is still a thing. That's not really a political thing. Actually, people have done the studies. It's not actually saving any power. It is, in fact, costing power. But the point is, it has been considered in the mind of the people for so long to be an energy conservation topic that anybody who starts, literally just starts to question it, is immediately attacked for it. Yes, Arizona does not have it. I think there's a couple other states that do not have DST. So yeah, people are just like, oh no, you're terrible. It's ridiculous. And I am pissed off about it, as I am every single year. It hasn't stopped being stupid. Well, Agamemnon, we are currently going for Loch Modan and our dwarven friend, whose name is Deutsch, because that's what you voted to name him. Our dwarven friend, in similar fashion, is the kind of guy he's gone off to try and, you know, kill all the horde scum who've been trying to affect his land. Actually, he hasn't really gone after any hordes yet, nor will he for a while, so never mind. But yeah, we're in Loch Modan. We're going through the Eastern Kingdoms. I can even tell you our schedule, roughly, if you give me a moment. We'll be doing Loch Modans and then Wetlands. That's probably today's schedule. I doubt I'll be able to do more than 2 zones in a day. Then, tomorrow we'll be reading the book. And then we'll be doing Elwyn, Forest, Westfall, Lakeshire, Duskwood, Stranglethorn Vale in the next 2 days. And then we'll switch to our Forsaken character.
Great to meet you.
Do you have the 8 Throgged Stone here to show me? Ah, quite impressed. You've done the Dwarven race a great favour in defending our lands. King Magni Bronzebeard himself would be proud. If he weren't a giant chunk of crystal, that is.
Be good.
Hey,
What can I do for you?
Well done. It appears the beasts in Loch Modan are now following the lead of a chieftain named Gramog. He's the biggest of all the Troggs here, lurking deep within the darkness of the caves to the north. If you're yourself worthy, I want you to lead an assassination mission.
Right, well,
Mein Gott.
be good.
The mountaineers tell me you're quite brave and capable. Why did a dwarf like you around here? The Trog problem isn't getting any better. The reserves have been called to the front and we're all alone out here. But now that we have a seasoned hunter, let's see what you can do. Go kill 8 of the stone splinters and the shamans and the bone snappers. Should find them in and over the caves to the north southern mountains. Let's see if you live up to your reputation as a Trog Slayer. No, actually, we'll be doing hinterlands on our horde. That doesn't seem right. Hey, Mind Blast. If only it worked that way, not just true. But alas, Twitch insists that I am terrible, and they are right. This is a fairly, niche market of what I'm doing here. Right. I'll have to do a little more research on that zone. If we do Hinterlands, we'll be doing it 9th overall. According to my notes, though, there weren't enough differences for me to do it on both sides. I'll look into it again. Oh, speaking of which, Sawan, since you're here, I figured out why I kept thinking Dun Algaz was claimed by the Wildhammers. Because Wetlands was claimed by the Wildhammers, and so I was just kind of automatically assuming, since Dun Algaz is the border of the Wetlands, that it was also Wildhammer territory. Now you're like, what? They never claimed it. Actually, they did right after they split, when they founded Grim Batol. And then when they left Grim Batol, they left the Wetlands and headed further north to Airy Peak. I don't know. Oh god, no music. So that's why I was screwing that up. So that was my mistake, guys. The Wildhammers didn't actually have Dun Algaz. They went through Dun Algaz on the way to the Wetlands, which was their territory until the War of the Three Hammers. Dwarves are not native to these lands. The dwarves were put here by the Titans. They're what's referred to as a seed race. A seed race is any given race that has been constructed by the Titans, specifically to watch after a territory that they have claimed or renovated. So no, the dwarves are not native to Azeroth. In fact, there's only 3 sentient sapient races we know, quote-unquote, that may be changing tomorrow, are native to Azeroth, and that would be the Pandorans, the Trolls, and the Tauren. Everyone else either came here from another world or was built here, and oh my god, lack of music. Ugh. It's okay, I have a cave playlist. Really, I do. We talked about this yesterday. Cave. Oh god. Whoop. There we go. Ah. Sweet, wonderful music. Damn right I do, Illyria. Do you have any idea how many playlists I have? I arguably have too many. Seriously, I have so many playlists, it's actually difficult to keep them track now. Keep track of them now. I had to start making playlist categories. So, can someone do me a favor and tell me how many viewers I have right now? I don't think I have that many, but I was gonna go ahead and check. Just in case. There's something I want to kind of talk about. Legend of... No, you want a Zelda song. Hang on a second. 43. Okay, I think I'll wait another 50 minutes or so. Until it's actually the right starting time for other people who don't have DST. You want Zelda music? I can do Zelda music. Give me a moment. There you go. 43,000 viewers. Did I actually go over the 10,000 mark? Wow. You wouldn't know it. I'm never getting a sub button. I've kind of given up on that, to be completely honest. I really felt like I had a chance for it, and then I had an even bigger event, and then I had an even bigger event, and the Mass Effect Lorerun was actually my biggest event overall. I had a ton of viewership for that, and a ton of interest, and it was great. And I'm like, alright, I'd like to go and apply for a partnership, and they said, nope! So, yeah, no, I have officially given up on getting a partnership with Twitch. If something actually happens to change things, so I suddenly am rocking, 500 viewers regularly, sure, I'll go ahead and reapply. But I'm not even thinking about that anymore. It's not happening. And truthfully, it is my fault that it's not happening. Let's make that clear. It is legitimately my fault that it's not happening. I have it within my capacity, within my feasibility, to make myself more bite-sized. I could do that. I have resisted doing that for years, because I don't want to do that. At that point, this will just become another job, as opposed to something I actually care about and have passion for, And to me, it's a little more worth it to have something I care about and can only barely survive on, as opposed to something that I do that I hate, and that I can, and that I, I'm more financially stable on. It's also worth noting that a partnership would not automatically mean more financially stable. Bite-sized, Mind Blast. Let me give you a direct parallel. An undead warlock. Awesome, Lily. Drawing is even better. Yeah, lawyers make more money anyways. That is a great way to put that. I would rather eat a knife and die than be a lawyer. Even though they make great money, you know. Anyways, but yeah, let me give you a direct parallel. You all know who Nobel the Noble is, right? Like, I imagine almost all of you guys know who that is. Part of the reason he is so well known, aside from the fact that, he's like the guy who covers WoW lore, so, that the usual he got lucky situation, is his videos are usually, on average, about 20 minutes long, covering an entire topic. He summarizes. He doesn't cover all the depth and detail. I guarantee you I am actually showcasing more lore than Nobel does, and more in-depth lore. But his lore is more digestible. Follow? Again, this is my fault that I don't have a partnership. I have made this choice. I have decided not to turn myself into Nobel 2.0. I've tried to turn myself, not to turn myself into Angry Joe 2.0. I have decided not to turn myself into anyone else who does something like that. I made that decision. I made that conscious choice. And I get to live with that choice. For example, a concern was raised today about, and this is a very, very valid concern, I want to make this clear, that my lore runs are very, very niche. Like, really niche. The lore runs really aren't, I know this sounds weird, but they're not really for someone who just wants to know, hey, where are the Naga? That's not really what the lore run is for. It's not really for someone who's like, I'd really like to learn more about the Titans. That's not really what the lore run is for. The lore run is for people who want to see the whole game and all of the in-depth complexities that I can rip out of it for you guys and explain for you guys and talk to you guys about. That's why it's the long play format overall, right? Make sense? So, the problem is, the number of people who have the time to watch these ridiculously long lore runs is not the largest market in the world. Which again brings us back to my earlier point about the anti-bite size thing, right? But yeah, the point was being raised, a valid point, but that these, in fact, I believe the exact phrase was, lore runs were being described as a mountain of content, and I actually agree with that. Trying to sift through 30 hours or 25 days of streaming is ridiculous. In fact, if anything, I've often felt that these lore runs are really more for the stream. Actually, I hate salmon. I can't eat fish, but Alaska's awesome. This is really more for the stream, for the people who catch it live than anything else. In fact, one of the solutions I have come up with to resolve the complaints I get is to stop putting these on YouTube. The catch is so many people desperately want these on YouTube. I mean, seriously, the one and only time I didn't put a lore run up on YouTube, I got comments about it constantly. It was the Kingdom Hearts 2 lore run, one of my earlier ones. And people are like, why aren't you putting this on YouTube? I didn't get to see the whole thing. I didn't get to see the whole video. Why isn't it on YouTube? I want to catch the stuff I missed. And I'm like, just whisper it to me, Magister. Yeah, exactly, Illyria. The reality is I can't please everyone, and I have to accept that. And I have to decide who I want to please, and I think I kind of have. Because here I am, talking to you about WoW for 28 days now, I believe. This is day 28 of the WoW lore run, by the way. Can you believe that, guys? No, the Kingdom Hearts 2 lore run is there. I did actually keep it local side. It just took me like months and months to finally put it up to YouTube. And of course, then there's the Kingdom Hearts lore run, which is actually a separate lore run. But that's up there too. Yeah, Twitch is absolutely terrible about saving videos. That's the other side of the problem. And I get why. I do. I understand the cost of video storage. It's just that, yeah. Literally half of the WoW lore run is gone already from Twitch. Just think about that for a moment. But don't mistake this as me like complaining or anything. I'm just discussing it because this is This is the kind of stuff I think about. I do think about this job very, very seriously. I do take this job very, very seriously. And, yeah, I do the best I can with what I've got. It is really nice every now and again when I get a comment from someone saying, wow, I didn't realize there was so much story to the lore, or, man, I really enjoy the idea of reading the quests as I go through, or, oh man, it's really, I didn't actually realize there was this whole complexity to the Elven situation and stuff like that. I've gotten those comments constantly, like every day, as we've been going through the, Lorerun. And so I see what you're pointing me to, Magister. What's your question? Because, yeah. You're going to have... I mean, unless you're just pointing this out to me. Anyways, let's go ahead and turn in these quests, shall we?
No!
I know the second I laid eyes on your Deutsch, you'd make Ironforge proud. You've served your people well, and I salute you. Well, thank you.
See you soon. How are you?
Most excellent, Deutsch. You've brought hope to Loch Modan. With Gramog dead, we stand a better chance of seeing the Trogs eliminated from the land. You've helped us quite a bit. If you're leaving, well, let's take a status report up to Thaurissan.
Safe travels.
Ah, this is fan-made. I can answer that immediately. Yeah, dwarven politics. Oh, speaking of which, that reminds me of something. There's a beer stain on the status report. That's great. I love that. Oh, if these places exist in lore or not. To my knowledge, no. I'm just going to go ahead and say no. I mean, we do know that there's more to Zul'Aman than what we see in the instance. So, I mean, there is more Amani over there. But none of the rest of that I'm aware of is there. I'm lying. There's one other thing. Anasterian Keep is over there. There was something I was going to say. Dwarven. So I wanted to talk about Moira again too. I think we'll save that until we're out killing stuff. Oh yeah, we've got a talent. What do we got here? Terrible talent. Terrible talent. Oh wait, no, that's the good talent. We'll go with that one. And this actually needs to be here. And I don't even know why that's there. In fact, let's just take that off the bar. There we go. Damn it! Me pact hasn't been delivered yet.
Great to meet you.
Ah, well. Oh, hang on.
Keep your feet on the ground. What can I do for you?
Welcome to Thaurissan, your home away from home in Loch Modan. Thaurissan is a nice place, but it's not all beer and salted meat for those who answer the call of duty. If you're willing to face danger in the name of the Alliance, read the poster outside the branch of the Explorers League. Oh, I'll do that later, though. What can I do for you? Glad to hear you've been clearing out the Trogs. Let's have a look at this report and, is that a beer stain?
Safe travels.
Well, mate Hunter, we've got a problem. I'd like you to leave the hand. It's gnolls. There's a whole mess of the things west of the town roaming the hills. And not usually any cause for alarm, but we've not usually had gnolls here in Loch Modan. Curious where they came from. But not curious enough to bother asking the major things. Go kill them all.
See you soon.
That has happened, Fallout, so yes, is the answer to your question. I need you to get some orders to mount near Stonepike up in this station at Algaz. If you wouldn't mind taking them, I'll do that later.
Be good.
Azeroth in lore is actually quite large. In fact, someone did the math at one point. Forgive me for not knowing the numbers off the top of my head. But Northrend here is, if memory serves, about the size of Greater Europe, Western and Eastern Europe. To give you a little bit of an idea of the scale of what Azeroth actually looks like. Like, in lore, it takes a really long time to get around right now, too, unless you happen to have portals. It's one of the great interesting things about most fantasy settings. Medical technology tends to fit into the same category.
Great to meet you.
Namely, Actually, I don't need that quest. Namely, if you have access to a healer, then you're fine, medically speaking. If you don't, then you're dead, because the actual medical technology has been hampered by the presence of magic. Because medical technology isn't as necessary due to the presence of magic. It's the same thing with transportation. Like I said, anytime we take the Zeppelin or the boat, it's basically a 3-month trip to cross between these two kingdoms. Think about that for a moment. Probably mind-blessed. I have to admit, I had some vain hopes that Blizzard would notice I was doing this during their big anniversary and give me a community spotlight. And that'd be kind of cool if they did that. But they're not going to, because they haven't already.
You got my attention.
So, you know. The darkest theme? What do you mean? Like, you mean thematically, or do you mean, like, music? First aid. Yeah. So, let's go after some forest lurkers. I don't know about you. I'm not much of a fan of spiders. Much less the kind that come bigger than me. Loch Modan's a gorgeous place. But I'd say could do without those horrid things waltzing around. Oops. There we go. Tell you what, I've got enough spare coin, and you look like a tough one. If you head out and take care of some of those things, I'll pay you for your time. The Zeppelin is a little faster, but we're still talking like at minimum a 2-month journey. And yeah, if I understand the globe correctly, like Kalimdor's over here and the Eastern Kingdoms is here, that may be changing. Who knows? When the book comes out today, we may find out tomorrow if that's true or not. Well, Illyria, that is a good question. I've actually pondered that a bit. And I have an answer. This is just me speculating as to why that is. So, here's my speculation. Ready for it? Because this is really stupid. They already have the rudders and star charts and navigation charts for traveling that way. You know, across the Maelstrom, basically. They don't have them for traveling the other way. And they're equidistant. So, do you go the place you know with the Maelstrom, or do you go the place you don't with who knows what? It's basically the choice that people face when they go from continent to continent. So, that's my take on why that is. Because we do know basically every trip has gone across the Maelstrom, across the map like this, as opposed to like this. Honestly, I think the Culling of Stratholme probably qualifies as one of the darkest overall events of the setting. Especially since, as we discussed when we were doing the Culling of Stratholme, it really was a catch-22 situation. There was no good answer there. There was no way out. It was just cull or screwed. Take your pick. It was a very Nethrezim situation. Oh! So let's talk about Moira while we're out of killing, like I said we would. Moira, I mentioned earlier, is that Moira is intelligent. She's a smart villain, and that's one of the things I like about her. It is worth noting that doesn't mean she's, you know, always smart. As I mentioned the other day, I may give her a little bit too much credit, but in addition to that concept, well, let's just say that when she first took over, she wasn't what I would call smart, so much as incredibly stupid. So here's the thing. Due to Dwarven law, Bronzebeard law specifically, when Magni didn't have any sons, any children who were male, it meant that so the way the line of succession goes for Bronzebeard is as you're going down the tree, you go from the king to the eldest son. If the eldest son is unavailable, you go to the next eldest son, and the next eldest, and so forth and so on, until, you know, the sons are gone. At which point, it finally, at the absolute last, goes to any daughters. In other words, it is actually legal precedent for a dwarven queen to exist. I mention that because Moira, when she was much younger, felt, all right, I'm going to do Ironforge proud. I'm gonna be this amazing, incredible queen of awesome. And her father was sexist, just to put it as nicely as I can. After which war, so on. Her father Magni, literally thought there was no way there could be a strong female ruler. It's not a thing. It's not possible. One of the biggest reasons why Moira actually got along so well with Thaurissan is because Thaurissan treated her like an equal rather than like a lesser, like her father did. This war... That sounds incredibly unlikely, but I'll just take your word on it. I mean, you can't possibly tell me that they have taken no losses against the Horde. That's ridiculous. I know you don't like the Horde and all, but I mean, goddamn, we're a little better than that. Anyways, so, yeah, Moira, when she literally waited in exile in Shadowforge City until her father was removed from power, rather forcibly, by being turned into Diamond. That was something nobody expected, I want to point that out. Moira had nothing to do with that. The Twilight Hammer had nobody to do with that. That was literally an accident. And Magni himself and his ancestral spirit, which is basically the spirit of Dunmarog now, is making the best of it. But Moira, the moment she found out, that's when she came back. She's like, aha! Now is my chance. And she did something incredibly stupid that actually almost got her killed. She decided to act like a tyrant. Her attitude, hey, I must be. Her attitude was basically, oh, I'll show him who's a bad king. I'll show him who can rule a thing. So she basically took over Ironforge, legally, because she had the claim, locked it down completely, shut down the tram, closed the door. Yeah, no kidding, Zoan. Yeah, she basically was a terrible leader, which I find hilarious because, well, obvious irony is obvious. So she was a terrible leader, and she made one really big mistake. She locked down Ironforge while Anduin was there. Now, Anduin actually outmaneuvered her a couple of times, but he did actually manage to connect with her a little bit. I don't mean, like, romantically. I mean just the two had actual discussions as opposed to political discussions, if you understand the difference between the two. Because Anduin is very good at connecting with people. It's one of his strengths. That's why he's such a good diplomat. So Varian found out his son was being held captive in Ironforge and came screaming in there with the best SI-7 assassins he had, and was there basically to kill Moira. He succeeded at everything other than the kill Moira part. Anduin literally had to beg his father for Moira's life to be spared. Now the interesting thing is this did seem to have a fairly significant impact on Moira and her attitudes in general. She has become much more cunning and much more manipulative and much more intelligent ever since. And that's why I call her an intelligent villain. But it took a bit to get there. But by the time as we're reaching the end of Pandaria at the very earliest, Moira has officially reached the point where she is the intelligent villain I call her. But she didn't start off that way. She had some issues. That is correct, I must be. And indeed, I will be doing that in every Lorerun in the future, ever, for the obvious reasons, really. To reduce the amount of padding in the actual Lorerun itself. That is the norm from now on. That has been the norm since Final Fantasy VIII, actually, specifically. The only times I don't do that is when I feel cheating isn't necessary to reduce padding. If there's any circumstance, if I'm doing a low run of a game where there will be sections where I have to go grind, or I have to go level, or I have to go craft, or I have to get items to drop, cheating. Because the only other alternatives are to do it live on camera and be boring, or to do it off camera and be bored. especially since that would also eat into my real lifetime, because I do have a life outside of the job, believe it or not. It's not much of one, but it's there. So yeah, no, that is standard policy and will be for forever. Yes, I do remember Ultimecia. I stand by my statement. That is a cheating boss. It's literally just, have you done any grinding up to this point? No? Well, then I'm just going to one-shot you. Bink! I think I'm in the minority, Celestial, in that I actually, yeah, okay. I think I'm actually in the minority, and that I personally think that Light Yagami isn't actually that smart. I mean, he's definitely smart, absolutely. I'm sorry, Fallout. But I don't think he's a genius. I never have thought he's a genius. That has never been my impression of that man. FF12 wasn't a lore run. That's the difference. And by... okay, so in the FF12 lore run, I did cheat, actually, if you remember. But in the FF12 chill run, that was not a lore run. That's different. That is a different format, it's a different goal, it's a different everything. I can't really show off the gameplay of a different version without while cheating, you know. I have watched many, many anime, yes, Norlix. Can we please stop getting into that topic? Oh my god, every single lore run I do, that question comes up. Every single one. I'm sorry. But yeah, exactly, I must be... If I can explain my reasoning to defend myself, if I will. Here's the point. The point of... I did end up cheating in the chill run just to show off the optional bosses, if you remember. The reason I do the cheating in a lore run is actually really simple. Allow me to describe it very simply. Let's say I'm doing a dungeon. It doesn't matter what game. It could be a Mega Man game. It could be, you know, a Final Fantasy. It could be anything. Bam. It could be anything, right? And let's say I'm doing a dungeon, and let's say that while I'm doing through this dungeon, I have to kill a bunch of trash because the game is designed to have trash for whatever reason, okay? So while I'm going through this trash, I am talking about the lore of the dungeon. Yada, 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 yada. Let's say I have 5 minutes of stuff to talk about. Now, let's say the dungeon takes 15 minutes to go through. Now, okay, that might not sound too terrible. However, if we're looking at it from the other direction, all of that trash I'm pushing through is just padding. So it works like this when I don't cheat. Talk, 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 talk. Sit here and grind. Do you understand? So if I'm cheating, I can make it the other way. Because in the other direction, I could just stop. If it gets to the point where I have more to talk about than gameplay, I could just do this right here. I could just take my hands off the keyboard and talk for a bit until I'm ready to persist, and then I can continue playing. I can't do the reverse, and it doesn't work in reverse. So that is why we do the cheating thing. I have actually done that in the past one, and you'd be surprised how few times people have actually come up with questions. Most of the time, people actually have questions for me while I'm actually talking about a topic. That's not a complaint. It's just it's reality. It's how that works. Where the hell is this frickin' Dark Iron Dwarf? So, yeah, that's the whole point of why the cheats during lore run thing is a thing now, and has been a thing since Final Fantasy VIII, and will be a thing in basically every game ever. And again, it's not. I shouldn't say that. It's not in every game ever, because not every game actually requires cheating. There are plenty of games I either know well enough or are well enough designed that cheating is simply not required. I do try to explain myself in general. That is generally my approach to things. I think you're right, Zoan. I'm going to go ahead and bow out of this group now. Hopefully I help them get some stuff. Hey, Azura. Hope the doctor visit went well. And thanks, I think. Where's the... Ah, there we go. Yeah, StarCraft 2 is a great example of no cheating required. Because there's casual difficulty. It literally removed the necessity of cheating. Some games are either easy enough or I know well enough that no cheating is required. Chrono Trigger is actually a good example of that. Or Final Fantasy VI. Again, because I know the game inside and out. You know, if I was doing a low run of the Metroid series, no cheating would be required. You know, to use another example. So it does depend on the game and the game design. Dude, Ironforge is the capital of the Alliance. Let's just be honest about it. Hey, Baronessa. I haven't seen you in forever. How goes all the legalese? Of course, it just... I actually have been seeing... some of my regulars just haven't been here for the past month or so. And it's entirely understandable since they don't like WoW. So that's why. I plead the fifth, Octavian. I gotta look up the Sly Cooper games. Hang on just a second. Sly, which ones are those? Sly Cooper. I actually have not played the Sly Cooper games. I played the other two. Xenosaga. Oh my god. Oh, Xenosaga. That would be a game I cheat on. Absolutely. That is definitely something I would cheat on. Because of the War of the Three Hammers, Hylisk. Dude, okay, so, fun fact. Back in Vanilla, Ironforge was the heart of the Alliance. Just in general, it was the capital of the Alliance. And I don't just mean in gameplay, although I do also mean in gameplay. It was literally the place where everything was. Still waiting, Jenkins. It was the place where everything centered. It was the auction house. It was equidistant to everything else. It was the hub for the Alliance. But that was in gameplay terms. However, if you'll remember in lore, Stormwind was kind of screwed back in Vanilla. It was still barely recovering from the events of the First War, and Onyxia was actively ruining it. So Ironforge was literally the capital of the Alliance back in Vanilla. Since then, that's a little more debatable. Blizzard devs themselves have tried to make Stormwind the gameplay capital, but it is still debatable where the actual political capital of them is. But there is absolutely, positively no denying that Ironforge is the mechanical, industrial, production heart
Keep your feet on the ground
of the Alliance at this point in time. Yes, Darnassus is capital of the Alliance, guys. Sorry, I meant to tell you. What's this? So I found a little bit of a Shadowforge. So I had a quest to go after a Dark Iron spy. Again, I want to stress that when what they say Dark Iron, what they mean is Shadowforge Dark Iron specifically. Detailed herein are all the locations used to secret our information within Loch Modan while awaiting pickup. Should you manage to obtain any documents for the Explorers League or their allies, place them in one of these locations and one of our messengers will be by within a week or two to deliver them to their base of operations. Once you have memorized all the locations, burn it, so that it cannot be obtained by our enemies. Should you suspect for any reason that our enemies might be suspicious, burn the book immediately. By no means should this book ever fall into enemy hands. For Ragnaros! Okay, see you around, WKC. Hope you like this one. This is a weird episode to talk about. Location 1, the western Loch Modan dock. Northeast of Thelsomar, there's a small dwelling. It's utilized by dwarves on occasion during fishing season. Okay. Drop-off and pick-offs from this location should only occur at night as to reduce the risk of being witnessed by fishermen in the area. The drop-off point will receive reduced priority during fishing season for obvious reasons. Location 2, the Bear Den. Please refrain from continued use of this cave as shelter and or hideout. Utilizing this cave for such compromises the security of our packages and messenger routes. Number 3, Chandra's Lair. There's a small hovel to the southwest that once belonged to the reclusive hermit Chandra. However, her residence, has driven all potential inhabitants away. As a reminder, Chandra is an enormous murderous spider the size of 2 dwarves. Do not drop documents in the cave, even if Chandra is not currently present. She will be, given time. Location 4. A side passage in the heart of Ironbound's excavation site leads up to a well-hidden and disused alcove. The Trogs have distracted the Explorers League, but do not forget they are still hostile to us. Take care when accessing the site at night. Trogs may be waiting in ambush. Point 5. Mogrash Skull Idol. This skull stone idol seems part of the Ogre grounds, but is further south than the Ogres actually roam. Place the documents at the base of it. Do not place the documents in the mouth of the skull idol. Several documents have been permanently lost this way, as well as one hand, mysteriously. Point 6. The Groove of the Loch. Draining of the Loch has left this place slightly less isolated. The Crocolisks have helped to mitigate this. Yay. Hylisk, it's actually a 2-point thing. There are 2 main reasons why the dwarves were like, screw magic! The first point, it can be best described as Ragnaros, or if you prefer. The second point is what happened in Grim Batol, both of which were heavily magical things that basically made the dwarves bias against magic for the last 200 years. Which is funny, because there's actually a fairly large presence of dwarven rogues and warlocks in the Twilight's Hammer and the Shadow Council. But anyways, we don't want to talk about that, do we?
Hi.
Ugh.
See you soon.
Excuse me. All right.
Hello.
And I have not gotten Lady Liadrin. I will pretty soon. We're level, 5 more levels. Nicely done, lad. I could use a hunter like you around here.
See you soon. Interest you on a pint?
Hello, sonny. Seem to have found one of our stolen documents, eh? Thank you for bringing back to us. Oh, there you go.
Off with you.
Ding. I would say probably dwarf. As much as I don't, yeah, no, I would say dwarf. Dwarf paladin for the win. Yep, it hasn't changed at all. Sarcasm. Oh my god. Good way.
How are ya?
All the rest easier knowing one of those lumbering things won't be wandering into my bedroom at night. Again! Oh, that's terrifying! Oh my god. So a 5-foot-long spider just roamed into his bedroom at night.
Off with you.
Why is that a thing? Why is that a thing, Roaring? Tell me. Explain it to me. Oh my god. That is horrible. A Tinker class would work in ways I've already discussed, of course. Murlocs are still in the game, yes. The way I would think a Tinker class could work is either having it be one of 3 categories of class type, either heavy pet-based, heavy buff, debuff-based, support in other words, or heavy ranged tank-based. All 3 of those could actually fit a Tinker under the right circumstances. Most neglected playable races. Draenei. Seriously, Draenei. Arguably, the Worgen, or not arguably, excuse me, Worgen, arguably Draenei is what I meant to say there. On the Horde, well, we haven't really had any orc-centric expansions. No, I'm kidding. Honestly, basically all of the Horde races have had at least some time in the limelight. The playable Pandarans have been very neglected. Although that's understandable why, since in lore they all probably went right back to the Wandering Isles after the Siege of Orgrimmar and said, screw this!
You got my attention?
Orders! Let's see what we got here. Ha! He wants me to deal with the infestation of the Ratmen. We're already in the middle of that, so no deviation there. Care to lend a hand?
Be good.
We've dealt with kobolds in the lands for years. Not much other than a nuisance, but they've been getting craftier at stealing. I think one of them's ended up smarter than usual. Won't be that way for long, though. Why don't you go to the camp south here and kill the crap out of him?
Watch your back.
Okay, I can do that. So you're asking me, Jengiz, if I would try to save Azeroth, probably temporarily, in exchange for destroying all the rest of reality. See around, I must be. Oh my god, it's Commander Nazgrim! Get it? Hi, Ricky. Yeah, I know, right? We've killed both Nazgrims. Makes me kind of sad, really.
Here there.
Sounds right. Question is, what were the little freaks plotting? Not those little blighters are taken care of. You've got more to take care of. The tunnel rats are swarming all over the Silverstream mine, setting up camps, sniffing around further and further every day. Greedy little things are looking for loot, I gather. Surveying and foraging is all fine and dandy when it's not on dwarven land. Kill them! Kill them all for the dwarves! Hello, Takoida. So who's hyped about the book, by the way? The book. I gotta be honest, Night Forager. I've been in support of the idea of a neutral faction since vanilla. So, I am biased when I answer that question. However, after what happened to the Pandorans on both sides after the war, I literally cannot think of any given reason why the Pandorans would actually stay a part of the Horde in the Alliance. Really, I can't. For those of you who follow Primus, I have no idea, Ricky, honestly. For those of you who follow Primus, you know that humans are an extremely non-violent race in Primus. Partially because of their upbringing, and partially because of where they came up from. Basically, they grew up in a situation where if they killed each other, they would have gone extinct. You know, Bandit, that is actually a great idea. Give me 1 second, guys. So humans, you know, any loss of life is a horrible, horrible thing for humans in Primus. Now, why am I bringing this up? Because I feel like it's kind of a similar situation with the Pandaren, for different reasons. The idea of a Pandaren just abstractly executing and going through the horrible violence of the war probably... Oh, shut up, Lilu. We had a great session last night, by the way. Wow, the kobolds have enslaved the trogs. That's interesting. Anyways, I feel like it's the same situation. The Pandarans, after going through the horrible violence of the war, are probably so shell-shocked by it that they can barely think straight. I cannot imagine them ever wanting to leave the island ever again. Even if it's not rational, I can imagine them just wanting to flee, you know? Just wanting to go home and not deal with this ever again. But, yeah. But yes, Andromeda has been delayed again. These are the things I need. I'm going to head out here. Color me completely not surprised. So I'm going to say something extremely controversial about Mass Effect while we're here. We don't have much to talk about lore-wise at this exact point in time. I think another developer should work on the next Mass Effect game. I believe that's referred to as dropping the mic, so... Except I'm not actually dropping my mic, this is an expensive mic. Now, it is worth noting that that's not an automatic victory condition. It just means that we're once again rolling the dice on whether or not Mass Effect 4 is good or not. But at this point in time, I don't think the Mass Effect team exists, first of all, but second of all, is going to do a good job of it. I have said before, and I've said it again, Mass Effect 3 was as much BioWare's problem as it was EA's. Exactly, Cygnus. That's kind of my point. We either want to roll the dice on if BioWare can do a decent thing with a gutted development team, or if, that's exactly my point, basically. Just my thoughts on the matter. And I already have a team in mind who I would love to do the next Mass Effect game. And they never will. It'll never happen. Morning, Bragwin. Right. I need to find that.
How are you? Hey, good.
I have, in fact, played all 3 Witcher games. I have not beaten Witcher 3, because I've been waiting to do it on camera. Of course it's possible, Roaring. It's just rolling the dice. Oh, God, Bragwin, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Interestiana pint?
No, if anything, EA is probably working on a Mass Effect mobile game. And what else is big right now? Well, MOBAs are kind of peaking, so they might be working on a MOBA game because it's too late to really get into that market, and EA's stupid. But more likely they're trying to make a Mass Effect mobile game. I just realized that MOBA and mobile sound really similar. To make that clear, MOBAs, MOBAs, League of Legends style games, have kind of started to peak and already started to trough out a bit. Mobile games, as in games you play on your frickin' phone, are still doing this thing. So, yeah. No, Night Forager. There are reasons to make that a thing. There are legitimate reasons to make that a thing. I disagree with them, and I don't think they should ever be enforced, no. So, found out what the rats are up to. There's so many of them outside because they got trogs digging for them in the mine. The tunnel rat geomancers figured out some kind of parlor trick to control the trogs as creatures of earth or some such. Fascinating, but not something we want them to practice. Go take them out. Look at the market numbers, Prog, and it'll be obvious why I say that. The bubble has not yet burst, is the point, but it is definitely at the point where it is a bubble. Dory's filled me in on this crazy trog slave operation the kobolds have going on. And if you haven't talked to her about it yet, I suggest you do. I'm getting down to it. At the bottom of this. Literally! Whoever's running this show is probably at the bottom of the mine. I want them dealt with. Oh, and, well, the stream to the east ran dry long ago. It was converted by the Miners' League into a storage depot. But now the kobolds have moved in, putting their filthy paws on good dwarven goods. We'll root out those vermin soon enough, but the League wants someone to get our gear out of the mine before we have the warriors tromp in and break things. I'm not a warrior. So this is actually really fascinating. So these are geomancers, which is a form of shamanistic magic, elemental magic. They're using elemental magic to control elementals. That's how that usually works, right? The reason I say that's interesting is because of the fact that, here, I'll go and let them get that. The reason I say that's interesting is because that means tomorrow, Jemke. Because I have no idea when it's showing up today. It means that... I mean, we already know what it means. I've already told you that trogs are basically more than half elementals anyways. They are actually earthen creatures. Not literally earthen. terminology. They are rock. They are basically a halfway mix between rock and earth and dirt and all that other fun stuff, and flesh. And so trogs are basically controllable as if they were earth elementals because they are living earth. And trogs don't really have much of a brain underneath them either. And I want to stress that kobolds figured this out. I hate to point this out because I'm not exactly what you'd call in favor of, you know, enslavement in general. But the trogs would make, like, perfect worker servitor races. Because they're strong, not too strong, incredibly durable, and ridiculously stupid. And they are very, very easy to control. Because they are an elementals-type race, which don't have a brain. Think about that for a moment. And yet it took the kobolds to figure that out. Also, this once again makes me think of how awesome it would be if in the Mongrel Horde. Like, if I were to ever actually do that, and, God, I keep wanting to do it more and more. The trogs being the worker class, you know, instead of the peons or the peasants, or the acolytes or the wisps, you have trogs who have been enslaved by, you know, the other shamans of the other races in order to be like, ah, you know. So, food for thought. Ding. Oh, that's a nice shot. What are we? 17. 3 more levels, and then we will have a gun, just for you as one.
Talk to me.
I'll even let you decide which gun mod we use. We don't have that many options, but I'm sure that only worked because the trogs aren't bright to begin with, but then again, us dwarves were once creatures of earth as well. Being bossed around by a kobold doesn't sound quite dignified. I'm quite glad we weren't able to find out if they could pull that off.
See you soon.
Here there.
I suppose it was Moira down there. Miracles do happen. Nope, it was a gnoll. That's a gnoll head. You trying to pull some funny business? If you're not, I haven't the faintest idea of what's going on around here.
Watch your back.
There's your Miners Guild.
Hey, good.
I need you to take this back to Mountaineer Kedril. Show them we have a nice creature around here. Maybe it might be having some kind of get-together.
Watch your back.
That's right. The gnolls and the kobolds have started working together. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, I saw that was a storm pike there. It's strange. Gnolls are apparently dangerous. Just ask Snorg. I could give a super secret spoiler for Primus, but I don't think I will. Let's just say that right now the forum campaign and the live campaign are both about to discover something rather significant.
Well met.
Alright, Lulu, here's the spoiler. No, I won't. Early news from the Algaz station. Gnolls and kobolds and trogs? Oh my. I'd laugh if I didn't have another twist in that story for you. We've got trogs working for kobolds, and kobolds working for gnolls. Gnolls must have moved in from Wetlands. How do I know? Well, they brought friends. Because what's left of the loch is swarming with murlocs! Yes, that's right. We actually do legitimately have a very small mongrel horde happening here in Loch Modan. Kobolds, trogs, gnolls, and murlocs.
Be good.
Not quite, you know, the full detail, but, you know, a little bit. I like the name of this quest, by the way. Suddenly Murlocs!
What's on your mind?
Murlocs? Sure, I've hunted Murlocs. Every stinking one of them deserve what they got. You hear me? Murlocs working with gnolls. No, that's a laugh. Just killing them won't get you anywhere. Too many of the buggers. But I got a plan. Using the old noggin, see. These Murlocs, they have a smell. They get that smell on that stuff, and they get another Murloc that smells it, and they all go crazy. It's great bait. Anyway, they've got little glands that have the smell in them. Go and get me a bunch of those.
Watch your back.
Yeah, the Alliance is about to murder the Mongrel horde. Seriously, that's our primary plot line here, is stopping the Mongrel horde. Over here we'll deal with some ogre stuff, and over here we'll deal with some trog stuff, but this is all about the Mongrel. I shouldn't call it the Mongrel horde, because it's not the horde, but it's like the Mongrel Alliance.
What's on your mind?
Oh, I like that idea, the Mongrel Alliance. It's our new name for the Alliance. When the Stormrot Dam burst, it drained near the entire loch. Horrible ecological devastation. And don't you go thinking it didn't really affect us dwarves. Not only are we plumb out of fish, but there is acres of dead Threshodons out there left to rot in the sun. The buzzards are after them, and they're spreading all manner of filth and disease. I can't ask you to clean all of it up. Could you deal with the buzzards?
Keep your feet on the ground.
So, actually, Bragwin, you are Gerlin. So, for those of you who never saw this back in the day, this used to be a lake. You can actually see where the water line was. You can see the edge there where the dirt is different. Like that right there, see? Yeah, so when the dam burst, that happened. In actual fact, I'm amazed anything survived in the wetlands after that. Like, seriously, I'm amazed anything survived in the wetlands after that. That's just crazy. You think what happened in Thousand Needles was bad. This is pretty much the exact opposite, and yet worse in every way. Aww. Aww. Scritch, 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 scritch. Anyways, ahem. That's true, Darch Monster. That is a valid valid point there. So, another question for you guys. What the hell, Zoan? Stop being so evil. Stop proving me right about the Alliance being evil. Seriously, it's not cool. I'm trying to argue that there's good Alliance and bad Alliance. And you're like, kill everything, even the children. I forget where. There's a quest somewhere to kill the adults and terrify the children, so that the new Murlocs grow up terrified. I think it's a Forsaken quest. Actually, Zawan totally is a Scarlet Crusader. Like, seriously. He's a little bit too much of a Scarlet Crusader. I don't even know what Al Pacino sounds like off the top of my head. And no, anyways. I actually can't do impressions. Like, at all. I can barely do accents. And even that's only with practice. As I've said before, the most, the most, professional voice acting I've really done, you're looking at it. Alright. Could somebody do me a really quick favor and punch in an uptime? I want to see how long I've been up. Speaking of which, sort of. Let's see what my tracking is at on that book. Aha! It's on the truck. Out for delivery right now. Just heresy to spell. Mudlock. /ME space blah 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 blah. Gnarlex. Honestly, Hylisk, I've always perceived two possibilities there. Either one, they just happen to. I mean, random chance is a thing, after all. Or, number two, and this is a more interesting idea, someone else pushed them to. And we do know there are at least two groups of power in this particular region who are interested in that kind of a thing. So... oh, that sucks, Jackson. Bluegill representative says, and I quote, the more I think about the Mongrel Horde idea, the more I like it. And it just makes me sad, because it's never going to be a thing, ever. We'll never see anything about it, ever. But, oh, it'd be so cool. We are very close to the Twilight Heartland. In fact, that's the Twilight Citadel right there. Looming over the distance. You're welcome, Gnarlex. Yeah, I'll let him get that one. So hang on, what you're saying, Zawon, is you willingly associate yourself with Scarlet Crusaders. What is that a picture of, Brogue? It's true, WKC. You know I'm right. You know I'm right. As we've been going throughout, it's like every freaking episode she's in. Just all of a sudden, and then she learns a lesson about you. And that's going to keep being a thing until Season 7. Maybe not every episode until Season 7, but it's going to keep being a thing. In fact, there's an episode, I forget the name of it, but it's the one where Chakotay... It was supposed to be a Chakotay-centric episode. And it's the one where they meet one of the pioneers of space travel. The first person to ever discover that alien life existed in the Pocket of Doom. I can't remember the name of the episode. It's a later on episode. Gotcha, bro. And yeah, and it's a Chakotay-centric episode, and then 7 learns a lesson about humanity, and then it suddenly becomes a 7-centric episode. And it's just like, stop it! Stop it! I even have respect. By the way, my respect for Brandon Braga has gone up. Yes, up. For anybody who watches my Star Trek stuff, you should know who that is. If you don't watch my Star Trek stuff, then this is irrelevant to you. Brandon Braga was the primary producer, the guy who actually did most of the work on putting together a show you may have heard of called Cosmos. The new one, not the old one, obviously. Apparently, he was... So, the one who funded it was Seth MacFarlane, who also is the one who got together the animators. And he needed someone to actually do the actual work of being the producer, the executive producer. And he asked Brandon Braga, who said, yes, yes, yes! And, yeah, it's Cosmos. It's a good show. So, enough said, really. I do find it funny that Brandon Braga, a man who has no understanding of science, was the executive producer of a science show, but whatever.
How are you?
So you're talking about the letter drop location things, right, Zawon? If I'm understanding correctly? Because if you're not, then I can't help you, laddie.
How are you?
That should prevent the disease and illness from spreading into the remaining water. Thanks, Deutsch.
Safe travels.
Ding. Ding. Big keg of beer. Yeah, that's what I thought. I do plan to, Zawon. You'll notice I picked up the one by the fishing point.
Welcome.
Don't y'all stick to high hell. I'll assume it's because the Murlocs, but it's hard to tell. You're a... Now prepare yourself. I'm about to wow you with what's left of me mental faculties. Alright, shut your gob and let me talk, because here's the plan. These gnolls and Murlocs are liable to be meeting out somewhere, so you take this clever disguise of mine, you wear it to look like a plant, and you sneak up on them. You throw the scent pheromone where you gathered the moss hides standing with the Murlocs. The Murlocs will flit their spit, and the moss hides will think twice about working with the crazy little buggers.
See you soon.
Also, I want you to go kill Crocolisks.
Safe travels.
I don't know, Zawan. I think they've grown on me over time, and I love the idea of the lesser races. Like, I really do. Yes, I will, Gnarlex. I just love the idea of the little guys, you know? The little Italy thing, as I've said many times. Although that's not an insult, it's just World War I, you know? So, yeah. That, and there's one other reason I don't hate Murlocs. It's actually really, really easy to explain. This is the other reason I don't hate Murlocs. Yeah, enough said. All we need is to give peace a chance. As a Murloc beats on me. I was actually just thinking, it would be interesting to see what would happen if Murlocs were actually allowed to be raised in a less hostile environment. Hey, Cloudy. Congrats. That's really early. Damn, dude. Speaking of which, let's see if mine is still on the truck. It probably is. No, no, no. I don't trust the Alliance enough to take care of the Murlocs. The Murlocs should join the Horde. You know one thing I like about the Warcraft setting? As weird as this is going to sound, we will never run out of enemies. Seriously. People have talked all the time about how we need to have the Horde and Alliance at war, because if we didn't, we wouldn't be fighting anyone. That statement is ludicrous, because we have so many enemies. Everywhere. All the time. We have enemies we've barely even poked at yet. Alright, let's go sabotage these talks. Where's my, I like how there's just a thing of booze in here. That's great. Damn it. I'm a shrubbery. Can't you tell I'm a shrubbery? Ah, whatever. Someone else screwed it up. Especially considering we know for a fact alien civilizations exist, Gnarlex. We know there are other worlds, and we know there's life on those other worlds in this setting. That's a thing, you know? So... Was it any good, Dakota? Yeah, Rory, that actually sounds like a fairly good parallel to what I'm talking about. We have to fight each other, but there's these 700 billion other people to fight. No, we have to fight each other. Not that I'm saying Orlais and Ferelden should be at peace. That's actually a much bigger mess than the Alliance and Horde conflict since... Well, since Dragon Age is a much darker setting than Warcraft is. See you around, Prog. I have thought the Titans are actually our enemies basically since Wrath. Pandaria really solidified my opinion on that one. But I'm very curious to see what the book says about that, and about their origins and whatnot. And the old days. I knew it, Progue! You're one of them, aren't you? Ah! Oh, I was just gonna ask people's... Damn it to hell. Oh, no, okay, we're good, we're good. God damn it, you frickin'... Hashtag other players. Do-do-do-do-do-do. I was just going to ask how many of you guys enjoy... well, okay. I actually kind of already talked about it earlier. It was basically the whole format of the Lorerun concept and how... I'm a niche market. It was that whole thing. And I was basically going to discuss the entire niche market thing. You missed one, Zoan. I was going to discuss the entire niche market thing with regards to people that are actually, you know, here. No, it fits perfectly, Tuko. I don't know what you're talking about. I wouldn't be disagreeing of that, Hylisk. I mean, Ra Den, who is arguably the single strongest of all the Watchers on the entire planet, was someone who was able to be convinced that we have earned the chance to try to exist. So, you know. Zhunk. Wait, what? Oh, whoops. Wrong button. That's why. There's that. What the heck is this smell? Sniff, 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 sniff. Why are you looking at me like that? You'll regret this. This is your only chance, you fishy fools. Ah, curse your sudden but inevitable betrayal. I hope they kill the crap out of that guy. Screw you! Keeper, Watcher, I forget, to be completely honest. I think he was a Keeper, yeah. But yeah, Ra Den is, to summarize my statement a little bit, from what I've understood, the single strongest of the variants Titan constructs on the planet. Even Algalon wasn't actually strong. He just held the keys to the Doomsday device. I'm still a brush. Yes! Yes! This is the best thing ever. Right here. This is... Yes. This is win. Aw, it went away. Damn it! Anyway, so what we just did, in case you missed that amongst other players screwing up the cutscene, was we splashed a Null with a... basically a juice that turns Murlocs crazy. And I think it's actually Murloc juice. And the Murlocs all started attacking the Null, not really thinking about it. And the Null's like, "Ah, curse your sudden but inevitable betrayal." And then we have just broken up the Mongrel Alliance. Now we just need to get rid of the dwarves and we'll be good. Hey, Salty.
What's happening?
By the way, they weren't actually the Mongrel Alliance. They're actually called the Axis of Awful. Looked like a charm, didn't it? Maybe Cadril will get off his daughter back now that we've saved the whole town and all. I suppose you've earned yourself with... You've earned yourself with some proper goods.
Safe travels.
Hello, Permius. What's going on with you? So that's pretty much the Axis of Awful quest line. We have broken up the Alliance. Yay! If only we could do it for the other one.
Well met.
Ah. Ironbrand's been excavating to the southeast. He's been needing a hefty amount of explosives from the League for all the carving. Huldar, Miran, and Sen just departed with the most recent load that could probably use a hand. They haven't made it very far. Can't have made it very far, strong as they are. They can only move so fast laden down with those barrels. They've taken the normal route to the site, leaving south out of town and following the curve of the loch. Go catch up with them and help them out, will you? I guess there's no lake in the way, so I'm just going to go straight there. See, it's funny you say that, Zawan, since that just really applies to the Alliance. So I agree, from now on we should refer to the Alliance as the Axis of Awful. Who's with me? All in favor? Holy crap. There's dark iron here.
Talk to me.
Ugh. Take more than a dark iron ambushed. Oh god!
Good.
Wow.
Interest ya in a pint?
Take more than a dark iron ambush to stop the deliveries. But saying, he's gone! The players are the players.
You got my attention.
I never would expect Shan to be one of their sympathizers. We've been working with him for almost a year now. Maybe I missed the signs. Well, I'll consider that later. Well, Baroness, what's the first G.I. Joe character you're making for XCOM 2? We need you to get this powder to Ironbrand, but this cart isn't going anywhere for now. It'll take a lot of us to carry, and these parts can get dangerous. Who knows what else the Dark Irons might have in store for us now that Sean is with them. Well, I'd feel a lot better if have you watch over the things. Mirren can offload the powder while you protect the cart.
Off with you.
Let's do it. Stay safe. I'll be back as quick as I'm able. I appreciate your help in this. We never suspected Sean as a sympathizer. We just weren't prepared for this. We have need of your explosives. I'll take pleasure in killing you for them. Oh my god, they've got a bear! They have a freaking bear! Oh god! That sucks, Rory. There's Sean! Sorry, Holdar. It seems I've misled you. No. Good work. I'm glad to see some revenge taken on the traitor. Go ahead and take the path Mirren did to the east. Let Prospector Ironband know we're all set. I'm sure I'll have some work for you as well. Hello, Andrew. Welcome to the Lorerun. So all I was going to say with regards to the Lorerun thing is, I mean, I've debated for the better part of a year how to change the Lorerun format to make it better. And my overall answer is, I can't. It's not feasible. Not without actually giving up on the rest of the stuff I do, my YouTube
You got
stuff,
my attention.
basically. And I don't think that would go over particularly well. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm crazy. I like lore running. In fact, I prefer lore running to my YouTube stuff, if I'm being totally honest. But, yeah. So, all I was going to talk about, and ask you guys, is if you enjoy being part of the live experience, and this is actually more important of a question, if you enjoy watching the stuff on YouTube later on. I'm pretty sure the answer is yes to both questions overall, like as a majority, but there's no reason not to take a poll every now and again. This was all brought up. This is... I should rephrase this. Rewind. This is something I think about basically constantly. I'm always thinking about trying to improve the show and whatnot. But this was brought up recently because, and I'm just going to quote this here really quick. My lore runs, I know some of you heard this earlier, my lore runs are described as a mountain of content. And that is absolutely true. They really are. There's a ton of just content. And that's kind of the point. It's the kind of thing where you're supposed to be able to sit down and relax and we can chat and discuss and talk back and forth, you know. Like we've been doing for the last 28 days. And then it goes live onto YouTube, and then you're able to just sift through that while you're doing other stuff. And that's literally the market I'm kind of aiming for. On purpose, I want to add. I do, as I said earlier, I do have the ability, I do have the capacity to put out 20-minute videos talking about these are the Night Elves. Or I could put out a 20-minute video talking about this is the Asari, or something like that, you know? I could do that. Oh, I don't want to do that. Well, see, the problem with that, Gnarlex, is that's actually infeasible. I know this probably doesn't look like it, guys, but I'm going to describe this from my perspective, okay? Of my waking hours, about 80% of my time goes into this show. I work 7 days a week. And I pretty much work from when I get up to when I quit for the day. And then the little cracks of the rest of my time, that's how I deal with real life stuff, like taxes or taking care of, you know, the little one or doing stuff around the house or whatever. That's the rest of it. I am devoting a ridiculous amount of my existing time to the show right now. So what Gnarlex says is a great idea. If I had the time to do it, which I don't. But then there's another option. I could just hire an editor if I had the money to do it, which I don't. So that's really the biggest reason why I say improving the Lorerun format is not feasible. Because it's not impossible, it's just, it's not going to happen. You know? Now, if I could actually turn my videos over to, like, if I actually got a good professional editor who does all that flashy special effects crap that I'm not actually good of, and and was like, here, I want you to make a highlight reel of this episode or a highlight reel of this session or whatever, and push that out, that could work. But that requires having that editor, finding the editor, first of all, who has enough of a brain to understand what to put out without me having to tell them what to put out, and second of all, me having the money to afford that editor. I've looked into editors, hiring a video editor, and it's actually quite expensive. So, yeah. So yeah, I'm basically just polling you guys for thoughts and opinions on the matter, and if you enjoy sitting here and watching me play this game and talking with you about it, and watching it on YouTube after the fact. As I mentioned out earlier, I have thought about, like, to try and avoid the negative feedback I get, or to try and prevent some of the negative feedback I get, because it's kind of a marketing thing. It's easy. If you looked at my show right now, if you went on my YouTube right now, and looked at the videos I've been pushing out for the last about a month, you'd say, oh, he does Let's Plays. And that's it. That would be your assumption. That is wrong, but that you would assume that because what I've been pushing out mostly lately is the freaking, is the actual, the previous lore runs we've already gone through. The StarCraft lore run, the Kingdom Hearts lore run. We're now going through the chill run of FF12, you know, that kind of a thing. That's the stuff that's going to live to YouTube right now. So that's kind of a consideration. So pushing out lore run stuff onto YouTube is a problem for that reason. It's a problem because I get tons of negative feedback whenever it happens, and people start insulting me for saying, you know, oh, you're this terrible person because all you want to do is Let's Plays, and that's all your audience wants is Let's Plays, and blah 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 blah. And yeah, that's all I've got on that one. So, but the other side of the picture there, if I were to not upload this stuff to YouTube, anyone who doesn't actually catch the show live, they don't get to rewatch it because Twitch gets rid of that stuff. Twitch no longer saves the videos, and saving all of those videos isn't possible, especially as a non-partner. Even as a partner, though, it wouldn't be possible. They wouldn't let me keep 30 days of streaming live. That's not how they work. So, yeah, I can't actually... So if I were to not upload these lore runs to YouTube, I would get people who are like, well, I didn't get to catch the blah, blah, blah lore run. Do you know how many times I've been asked this lore run? When is the WoW lore run going live to YouTube? I've been asked that literally over a dozen times, and that's just in the last week in my immediate memory. So, and thank you, Andrew. What? It's not impossible, sure you. Basically, that would just involve time. And that is really the catch here. Like I said, already a ridiculous amount of the time, my real-life time, is burnt onto the show. And I'm not complaining about that. I love the show. I love pushing myself into it. I understand that this is hard work. I get that. I'm not trying to be like complaining or anything like that. I understand that. It's just, it is a real problem because I can't, like, I don't have extra time. The only way for me to get extra time at this point is to sleep less. You know what I mean? That's the only place I could push back my my time, any resource pool, I guess is the way to put that. So, yeah. Reading Rory's thing here. Oh, Ulysses, that's funny. Well, that is kind of the point of a lore run in a nutshell, Rory. I could talk to you about that. I could just have me in front of a camera here, like I do in my ruminations, and say, well, this person is doing this thing, and blah blah blah. Or I could actually show you, okay, this person's over here, and this is how this interacts with that. It's one of the things I love about the lore run format. I can show you those details. I can show you that stuff. Well, what do I cut, Hylisk? Other than, I mean, seriously, what do I cut? Do I cut my Star Trek Voyager stuff? Well, that would gain me about, on average, about an extra hour a week. Maybe 2 hours a week. That's not really a significant gain in time. Same for Babylon 5. So those two are both infeasible to cut. The main ruminations, I would lose so many of my viewers if I cut the main ruminations. So that's infeasible. Cutting the streams, I could cut the streams. That's possible. I would lose all live interaction with my viewers, but streaming is something I could cut, so no more lore runs. I could cut Primus, or I could cut the roleplays. Those are my three options, logistically speaking. I can cut my D&D, I can cut my roleplays, or I could cut my streaming. The others are infeasible or impractical. I wish I had a good way to pull all of my patrons simultaneously, as weird as that sounds. Because, yeah. The amount of views don't matter, as I've said before. It's the Patreon is how I make my money. And so when I'm looking at this from a purely business perspective, the viewer count doesn't matter. The viewer retainership doesn't matter. What matters is what the patrons actually think, you know? The patrons are the ones who decide where my time is spent and where my content goes. So what I would like is some way to actually go ahead and poll all my patrons simultaneously. And there is no such thing at the moment. So, where did that go? Oh, that's why. Yeah. I could, but the problem is Patreon is really bad about notifying people that I have a post up. So if I were to I could go and post right now. I could be like, bam, here's a post on Patreon. Tell me which show you like the least. And I'd say about 20 of my patrons would get that and would respond to that. 20 of 196, by the way. When I opened up the floodgates, I had to tell people that post was up. They weren't notified of that. So you see the problem here. Reaching all of my patrons is something that's not easy to do. I actually have no method of doing so. The best thing I could do is go ahead and put up a YouTube video But even that doesn't work because it wouldn't limit things to simply patrons, right? It would be a YouTube video like saying, hey, go to my, if you're a patron, go to my Patreon page. Like, that's the best method I would have of trying to get a hold of all my patrons simultaneously. But anyways, I'm getting really, really off topic. The point is, I just wanted to kind of get some feedback on the live interaction aspect of the Lorerun concept. Because I've heard some people say, and I've heard this criticism a few times, why are you even playing the game? Why not just sit and talk about the game? And so apparently that's something some people would prefer, is me, you know, sitting and talking about the game. And I kind of get that. So, yeah. Moving on.
Here there.
Is troubling news you bring. To think the Dark Irons have sympathizers and were able to procure the sorts of materials for his dastardly plans. It's a matter for someone else to consider some other time. Thank you for protecting Holdar. Yeah, no kidding, WKC. You've uncovered some incredible artifacts at the site. It's hard to be convinced it's all authentic, but it could be some serious historical potential. Unfortunately, when the Trogs overran the site, we lost access to 3 of our most notable finds to date. I'm concerned the Trogs might have stolen or defiled them in our absence. If you go to the excavation, find the upturned giant, the overdressed woman, and the broken tablet.
Be good.
Hello.
Recently, just before the Trogs surfaced within the sites, we uncovered a large number of strange carved idols. But we didn't have a chance to study them, for soon after we discovered them, the Trogs chased us away from the ruins. And those idols have a strange effect on the Trogs. It makes them go berserk. Bring me 8 of their idols. I want to study them and find out, get them out of Trog hands.
Be good.
Then I shall do this thing. But first... It doesn't help our people on YouTube, Cool Streams. It's always been for YouTube, so... yeah, it doesn't really change anything. It's a bit of a shame. I would actually like to get rid of the chat on the thing. And not because I want people to not have the chat, but because I would have more real estate to work with for the stream. I could basically dedicate more of the screen to the game. And that would be nice. It would also mean I could go back to 16 by 9. Admittedly, part of the reason I ask is because I've been genuinely thinking about axing the lore runs from my show. And just not doing it anymore. The only reason that isn't my automatic answer, because lore runs take more time and work than anything else I do by a huge, huge margin. Like, if I have actually done the math in the past, if I were to divvy up, like, if 100% is all of the time I spend on the show... roughly 40% of that is spent on lore runs. That is a huge majority. However, there's 2 big reasons why I don't want to do that, and why I've basically decided, asterisk, not to do that. It's still in my mind. It's just I haven't done it yet because of the 2 reasons I'm about to share with you. Number 1, lore runs also generate a fairly large amount of money for me. I hate to be so pragmatic about it, but this is my job. I have bills to pay. And as you can see by these numbers right over here on the right, or left, excuse me, this is mirrored. Anyways, over here on the left, yeah, that is a decent amount of money that's been generated just from this one lore run. I could also point to every other lore run I've ever done, which has also generated a decent amount of money. Shrug, right? Really? Really? Check it out, guys. Insert quotes. I don't even feel like quoting them. We're just going to insert the quotes here. Notice she's actually using a watcher model there. The second reason I don't want to axe the Loreruns is because I actually prefer the Loreruns. Like, from my perspective, of the various things I do for the show, this is what I enjoy doing most. This is what works best for me and what I feel is the best way to get across what I want to do. Not just from the enjoyment factor, but from the explaining the lore factor. You know? I want to actually show you lore in addition to just telling you about it. And I love the interactive side of it. I love the fact that we can chat about it. I love the fact that every now and again, you guys prove me wrong. I love the fact that every now and again you call me out on something, and I go look into it, I'm like, you're absolutely right. I was wrong about that. The cooperation and coordination side of it is hugely enjoyable to me and hugely important to me. Really, Agamemnon? Lorerun is actually my only method of donation gain. Literally, I have exactly 2 sources of income right now. Donations during a Lorerun and Patreon. That's it. That's where my money comes from. That's how I continue to eat. Oh, they blew it all to hell. I am actually a little surprised by that too, Permeus. But on the plus side, we've been very active during the WoW Lorerun. I have been actively chatting with, like, everyone during the WoW Lorerun, and that's been pretty neat. As opposed to, you know, some Loreruns where I have, like, 400 people and I'm only chatting with 12 of them. Mass Effect, excuse me. Loreruns take a stupid amount of research, yes. There is a lot of work that goes into the preparation for a Lorerun. You know those episodes of Star Trek and Babylon 5 that are still going live? I spent the week leading up to this just doing nothing but working on those and recording those. All day, every day, 12-hour work days trying to push out all of those episodes so that I would have the whole months ready. That's the kind of thing that goes into making a lore run happen, because I want to have my other content still going live while I'm doing a lore run. In fact, this is the most compromised I've ever done. Or ever been, excuse me. I am most... what I mean by that is... normally, I would also have the ruminations and the role plays and the D&D stuff, you know, all my other features going live while doing a lore run. It just... This time I decided to not kill myself and focus mostly on the lore run. So... What do you mean, Ilaria? I mean, I guess I know what you mean. And yeah, the length of the run is extensive. I always knew that going into it. Even though we have done many, many things to speed up the run, which is kind of funny when you think about it. We have done so many things to streamline this run, and it's still taking forever.
Interest ya in a pint?
Oh, I'm relieved. I swear they'd all be destroyed now. Thank you for checking on them.
Watch your back.
Yeah, sure, no problem.
Great to meet you.
Did you get the idols? We must study them. Report our findings to Ironforge. Ah, you got them. Nicely done, Deutsch. And you don't look too worse for wear, even with those berserk drogs about. I'm going to keep my eye on you. You show some promise. Well, you definitely have some fight in you. You know, there's some hunter types at the lodge east of here up the hills. They might be up your alley. Why don't you go pay them a visit? See if they have any work you might be interested in.
See you soon.
Oh, gotcha, Illyria. I don't know what to say to that. That is me. It's actually always been me ever since I used to work back at Montgomery Watson, actually. When I was a lot younger. I actually was seriously considering doing something to speed up the lore run even more. So, genuine question, guys. Do you want me to speed up the lore run even more? Because I can. I know exactly how I'd do it, and it would speed it up a little bit more. I don't know how much. It would take a lot for me to do the figures for that, and it would basically involve testing, and long story short, it would speed it up, I just don't know by how much. So, you know what, why don't we actually set up a poll for that one? Poll. No. Do you want me to speed up the lore run? Yes. No. Bam. There you go. Straw poll. I'll just leave that there. I have never actually done a Dark Souls lore run yet. But I do actually intend to do a Dark Souls 2 run in the future. Possibly not a lore run. It depends. I'm not, as weird as this sounds, I'm not sure Dark Souls really qualifies. Well, I'll go ahead and tell you the method. Getting on a level 100 who hasn't done these quests and doing them on someone who has Master Flying. In other words, I'm already killing about as quickly as I can because I'm already over-leveled. But if I go ahead and push through on a level 100 who has Master Flying, I will move faster. So much of the travel time will be reduced. It would that's pretty much what the change would be. It would reduce the travel time. It would effectively be turning on the cheats. Except we already have cheats on because we've got full heirloom gear on, but you get the idea. That's the method.
Hello.
If we did that, we wouldn't do that till the next zone anyways, because of the nature of cataquests. I would have to basically redo all the quests in Loch Modan up to this point to keep going. Hello, Evilish Knight. Try to contain your excitement, Deutsch. For you in the presence... That's not a dwarf. For you are in the presence of the greatest boar hunter in Azeroth. Their cunning, intellect, rapid speed, ferocious strength, resilient hide. Yes, boars are the quarry of only the most masterful of hunters. Amateurs need not apply. Why, I bet you've never even hunted such an exotic beast. I'll bet any silver any day you can't match my record of 10 boars killed. Try the ones on the eastern shore of the loch, but don't hurt yourself now, rookie.
See you later.
Yeah, there are several other... Yes, I do, Zawan. Yes, I do. There are several reasons why I haven't done that already, Hylisk. I'm only mentioning it now because the Lorerun is actually taking a little longer than I thought it would. And so I offer it up to you guys as an option.
Hey!
Oh, I should put that up here really quick. Where is it? Oh, did I delete it? I deleted it. Hang on. I don't know, Shiryu. Give me a second. Give me 1 second, guys. Sorry. How do I... God damn it. I'm sorry. Give me a second, guys. Well, not only that, Gnarlex, it might have given him insight into the dream. And by the dream, it would also give him insight into the nightmare. I didn't know they did anything to Koida, and probably not, no. Given me. Ah, here we go. Perfect. This is exactly what I want. Okay. Like I said, it's not a perfect solution, Thud. That's actually why I'm leaving it up to you guys, and why I haven't done it myself already. There we go. August. Let's be honest. This lore run's going until September. Okay. It's stab thistle season. Stab thistle seeds are responsible for up to 89% of seed-related injuries amongst hunters. You'll find stab thistle seeds mostly in the lower woodland just south of the lodge. They're commonly found at the base of trees, and they will stab you and hurt you. I'd advise you to avoid them, but I actually need someone to remove them for the sake of safety. Please bring me back some seeds so we can make sure the others don't get hurt.
Be seeing you.
There we go. Thistle while you work, really?
What can I do for you?
Hello there, laddie. The Mountaineers sent you over, eh? I do suspect we have just the sort of work you're looking for. Welcome to the First Rider Lodge.
Safe travels.
We've seen more foxes in the hills lately. Cunning creatures they are. Good test of a hunter's skills and a fine profit to boot. It's their tails, lad. Fine and fluffy. They're just as good hung on your belt to ward off the fleas as they are to line the gloves of some fancy noble. Listen to me prattle on. I'm no goblin. The thrill's in the hunt. But if you bring me back some foxtails, I'll still pay you for them.
Watch your back.
We're always looking for new game around here. Daryl may like his boars, but the rest of us prefer things more exotic. Now, I'd never say the lock training was a good thing, but it did have a silver lining. That swampy grounds brought in a new prey. Hornets! Giant hornets, mind you. Not many hunters have tussled with massive bugs before. It's rather novel. You know, there's this place called Silithus I want to recommend to you.
See you soon.
Hey!
I'm through with gyrocopters. Sure, they work, but when has that ever been good enough for a real gnome? I want real flight. With wings! I've been studying the birds for years now, trying to unlock the final secret to building a machine that flies just like them. That elegant soaring and swooping, the rush of wind over the wings. You can help me. I need the finest flight feathers you can find. The golden eagles circling the lodge would be a fine choice.
Alrighty then.
It is going a little slower than expected. I am over 50% through the entire lore run now. I actually figured that out and did the math there, basically. It's not too much slower. It's just, it is something that's been occurring to me lately, that speeding it up might be something people want, which is why I'm letting you guys choose that. Literally, it would only really change the in-between travel time. That's all it would change. It's something I was actually considering the other day as well, and I kind of shot the idea down as I was debating it in my head, for reasons that people have already pointed out in chat. I believe it's around 3 billion, Illyria, but I'm not 100% on that. Sorry, clone. It actually wouldn't be that much of a hassle. It would mean we're abandoning Deutsch. And Despire, actually. We would be abandoning both. I wouldn't even offer it except for the fact that I happen to have a level 100 on both sides who hasn't done quests. Believe it or not, part of the reason for that was prep work for the Lorerun. Now, Permeus also had a valid concern as well. There are a few quests where you have to get something's health to, you know, low, like below 50% or below 30%, and then not kill them. And doing those quests as a level 100 is, I don't know if it's possible. I'm just going to be honest. I don't know if it's possible. Oh my god. I did say streamline, right? Yeah, I did say streamline, okay. Oh, you said streamlining, too. You'd have to... What you would theoretically have to do is unequip your weapon and all of your gear. So you're standing around in completely naked gear, and punch and hope it doesn't actually kill it in one shot. There is a lot of good stuff to talk about in Warlords. There's a lot of good stuff to talk about in Pandaria. You are absolutely right. Like, really, that is a valid statement. It's a bit of a shame. Because I really do like Cataclysm and going through this stuff and really showing off this stuff. But the distinction between the zones has been rather apparent. I mean, Southern Barrens was awesome, in my opinion. And it was great going through the... awesome on the Lorerun, I mean. It was an awesome section of the Lorerun. But then Ungoro? I had almost nothing to talk about in Ungoro. So, you know. As ever, not every zone is going to be conductive towards a huge Lorerun experience. And this is actually a good example of this. I'm in Loch Modan right now. And there's not actually a lot to talk about here. You notice I've spent most of my time talking about things completely unrelated to the lore, because there's not that much to talk about yet. We aren't even at the main quest yet because of the nature of how cataquests work. So... I mean, I could talk to you about how this used to be a lake. I could talk to you about how this is one of the original settlements of the overall Dwarven Empire. I could talk to you about how I got a donation just now. Yeah, there is going to be some zones in the Eastern Kingdoms that there's going to be a ton of stuff to talk about in. Western Plaguelands and Eastern Plaguelands both will have a fairly large amount of stuff to talk about. As will the Searing Gorge, and, believe it or not, and a few other zones, but yeah. So, yes, this was a lake, Edamon. Thank you, Rex Mundi, if you happen to be live on stream right now for the donation. You didn't give me a comment, so all I can say is thank you in a vacuum. If you would like to put it towards one of our incentives here, you can. You don't have to. Otherwise, thank you. But yeah, I could tell you about how this used to be a lake and how I could like speculate in a vacuum exactly how much this zone is probably completely screwed over by the Cataclysm. In fact, that's actually kind of a common thing. One of the things I find interesting about this setting is the actual world gets so screwed over on such a massive, no pun intended, cataclysmic scale that if it wasn't for the presence of things like druidic magic or shamanistic magic, it's pretty likely Azeroth might actually be destroyed by now. Literally in, like, not destroyed, I don't mean like in pieces. What I mean by that is, picture Silithus, and that's the world. That's what I mean, no longer functional. Can I tell you why the dam exists? I absolutely can. So, Loch Modan was one of the original settlements of the Dwarven Empire, the last Dwarven Empire, the one that died, along with Modimus, of Anvilmar, Modimus Anvilmar, excuse me, I couldn't even think of his freaking name. When he died, that was the end of the Dwarven Empire. It is actually debatable, as of right now, that there's a new Dwarven Empire right now. It's just not run by an individual person, but that's as of the modern event. In fact, when you talk to Moira, she actually has a comment about that in the Siege of Orgrimmar. She mentions about how the dwarves have literally never been more united than they are at this point in time, and that's absolutely true. The majority of the Dark Irons, the vast majority of the Bronzebeards and the Wildhammers are all on the same side for the first time in about 2.5 centuries. That is not a small deal. And, yeah, anyways, I'm sorry, I'm getting a little bit off topic. The point being, why is the dam there? Or I should say, why was the dam there? The entire purpose of the dam was they were trying to turn the wetlands into a vast... Okay, so, the way this originally worked out, this area here was not originally a lake, if that makes sense. It was actually originally just an area that had a fairly large amount of rain as a common fixture of the area. The dwarves were trying to make arable land near Dún Marog, okay? Dún Marog is certainly, dwarven land and it's our home, but it's not really a good place for growing food. So they needed someplace pretty much right on the doorstep to grow food, and they actually just came across this plan. So they made this massive dam here and called up... well, actually, okay, I'm sorry. They made the massive dam. This part is my speculation. And they might have actually had shamans and druids, because they had that kind of magic back then, try to increase the amount of waterfall in the area to basically create an artificial lake. That completely altered the nature of this zone. Loch Modan back in the day was not actually a Yeah, bingo. It's non-magical terraforming. This area used to be not this lush green place before they put the dam up. So this place was turned into that, again, through non-magical terraforming, thanks to the inclusion of the dam, and the inclusion of the rain, and the inclusion of the lake, which allowed the soil table to alter to the point where it could sustain life, and thus they had arable land. Bam. Right on the doorstep of Dún Marog. I also want to point out that that's really impressive that they managed that without, using druids and whatnot. It's just... I don't know what else to say about that. It's just impressive. The only things we know about that off the top of my head, whoa, excuse me, is that though that was land that was actually gifted. Thank you, Just Bender. Not in the game, but in the lore origin, if that makes any sense. It's one of those they don't show it, but it's implied to be there kind of situations because game. The Arathor Empire, the first human empire, actually, one of the things they did to try and get good relations with the dwarves back in the day was they basically gifted them a fairly large chunk of the land in the Arathi Highlands, saying, here you go. And the dwarves said, oh, that's incredible! And again, arable land, hence the dwarves being able to set up farms there. That's all I know. I haven't actually refreshed myself on that because we aren't at Arathi yet. But I do know that that's one of the original bonds of connection between the dwarves and the Alliance. Or, excuse me, the humans. So, obviously, with all of that water removed from the lake, and they don't ever say it outright, but there's this undercurrent in a lot of the quests here that the dwarves are worried about the long-term effects of this. And rightfully so. They may have basically just lost most of their arable land in the area. Especially since if you head to... further north, you know that most of that area is no longer Alliance territory, in any sense of the word. Frickin' Forsaken. I mean, there's the Arathi Basin is a battleground for a reason. I don't know anything about the mountain farms personally, so I got nothing on that one. I know what you're talking about, but I don't know anything about it personally. I hate to do it, but every now and again I have to admit, I don't know. I am a failure. But it's okay, because I'll have lasagna later. We don't have to, Nero's ass. It's an option I'm giving you guys. Like I said. Which you weren't here for, which is why you're asking. It's basically an option to reduce the amount of travel time. That's really what it would do, ultimately. Alright, let's go ahead this way. We need some more foxtails, too. Because it wouldn't remove the amount of other players. It wouldn't increase my rate of attacking things. It wouldn't... Like nothing about the combat side of things would really be sped up. Not really. It would only reduce the amount of travel time. At least in any significant amount. Oh, God, my back has been killing me lately. Sorry, I don't mean to complain. I may set up my heating pad in a bit, though. Well, that can be done with non-magical means, Dakota, from my limited understanding of it. What I would do, Nerazaz, is instead of doing these on a low-level character, I would do these on a level 100 who has Master Flying. And who has not done these quests, so I could actually still do the quests. I still know the order I do the zones in and everything. That wouldn't change. There would be a couple of things to keep track of, but I could do that mentally. The big catch would be making sure to go back and do the zones. It just occurred to me I might not actually be able to do that. Like, I could, but it wouldn't really be as helpful as it otherwise might be. I understand, Bragwin. I've had sciatic nerve pain as well. Thankfully, it's gone down since I started those new stretches I've been doing. Now, so far the vote seems fairly overwhelming in favor of no. I'm a little surprised by that, actually. Yes, so what happened here, Agamemnon, is originally the dwarves didn't have any particular bias for or against magic until the War of the Three Hammers. There were two major events during the War of the Three Hammers that really made the dwarves move against magical usage. Event number one was the devastation that was the summoning of Ragnaros, which led to pretty much the annihilation of the Red Ridge Mountains as they were, and the creation of the Gorge, the Blasted Lands, the Burning Steppes, etc. Or, not the Blasted Lands, excuse me, the Badlands. The, I knew it, Shrew! So that's the first event. The second event was Grimbatol has been cursed, really severely, massively cursed, to the point where you can't even stay there for a long period of time unless you're already some hideously crazy evil bastard. I mean, who would be like that around here, right? Anyways, so, those two events made the dwarf very biased against magic. Now, I've mentioned before how magic will stunt technological growth. Actually, a lot of things will stunt technological growth, believe it or not. The more personally powerful you are as a race, the more biological benefits you have. Like, say, a Tauren. I talked about this back in Mulgore. The less inclined you are towards technology because you don't need it as much, right? Remember, technology has to serve a purpose from an evolutionary perspective, from a cultural evolutionary perspective. You can't actually just suddenly say, well, I want to be able to ride around in cars if you can already run as fast as a car can. Make sense? In fact, Babylon 5 actually touches on this subject in a really funny way, but I don't want to get into that right now. Point being, if you have magic, your technological growth tends to be stunted because magic fills the gap. Yeah, exactly. Innovation is fueled by need. If you have magic, you can kind of avoid a lot of technological development because you don't need it. And again, medical science is a great example of that. If you have someone who can cast Cure, you don't really have a huge amount of need for developing things like antibacterials or understanding the nature of organisms and viri and that kind of thing. You're not going to really get into that because you have someone who can cast Cure. You'll notice most of the more mundane remedies we do are very, very basic level. The kind of stuff that we in real life have had mastered for centuries. Have fun, Shiryu. Saints Row 4. You know what? That's actually not a bad example of that. If you had all the superpowers of Saints... Like, if human beings were all as superpowered as we are in Saints Row 4, we would not be anywhere near as technologically advanced as we are now, because we wouldn't need to be. Now, technological progress does still happen in an intelligent species, regardless of need. We're actually an example of that in the modern era right now. However, it will always go much, much more slowly, because, again, need is not driving it. Artificial and natural selection are not driving it. And yeah, as Cloudy points out, it's one of the big reasons, at least I speculate, it's one of the big reasons why the Night Elves have been so stagnant culturally, technologically, and magically for millennia. For thousands of years in the mountains. Yeah, so, let's go turn in, let's go talk to the premier boar hunter in Azeroth.
You need something?
You've killed 10 already? While you were out, I've broken my previous record to 1,000. Yes, 1,000 boars. A bet is a bet, though. Here's your consolation prize.
Have a good one.
Fledgling hero of Warcraft. I may now get Lady Liadrin in Hearthstone. Yay. Yay. I was thinking about doing a very brief Hearthstone stream, because they've added a feature which is actually aimed at my audience in Hearthstone. And I was thinking about discussing it from the perspective of a total noob, like myself. Also, ding! Yeah, let's get a picture with the premier boar hunter of Azeroth here, shall we? There we go. The ability, they have added something. They've added several things actually, but a lot of it is convenience features. The ability to craft a little bit easier and more. They've basically retooled the crafting interface, which is nice. They've also made it. They basically have a method to help people who don't really know how to make a deck. Yeah, the deck creator is the other thing I was talking about.
Greetings.
Handle them safely now. Oh, I've been informed there's a bear warning active for the woodlands as well. They love stab thistle seeds. It's a good thing you gathered those so they don't attract more bears. Everything. Stop everything! It's come to my attention. There's been really? There's been bobcat sightings. Bobcats! Now, mind you, I've never seen a bobcat, but surely they're dangerous. They're like mountain lions or something. I don't want anyone leaving the area till the area is secured. Anyone but you, that is. I'll pay you to help secure the area, but don't get your face ripped off.
Goodbye for now.
Decline. Apparently, I forgot to turn that off. Let's see if I can remember where it is. Social. No. I can never remember where it is. Oh, here it is. Block trades, block guild invites, block guild channel invites. Thank you. Yes, Bandit, I am. I could build a deck if I sat down and understood the cards, which I have never bothered to do. Which is why I say it's aimed at my audience. In fact, deck building is what I enjoyed most in Magic the Gathering. Believe it or not.
My, you're a tall one.
Only the finest feathers will do. Ah, beautiful. You've got an eye for quality. Great minds think alike. It's clear you've got enthusiasm for flight and fowl, so maybe you can help me further. I've actually nearly perfected my dream machine, the Sky Strider, but the world's first flying Mechanostrider. But, well, when I was putting the finishing touches on my secret cavern lab, my other creations became jealous. Giving mechanical birds a personality to begin with was probably a bad idea, but that's already done. I need the super mechanical robo-ridget from the original Sky Strider if I want to rebuild it. Please journey into the cave and retrieve it for me.
You have a great day now.
Yeah, see, I don't actually know what that means, Zoan.
What brings you here?
I don't suppose you'd be interested in a little payback for his boldness. Daryl does have some skill, it pains me to say. A year ago, a large bear had been target of Farstrider Lodge, but none of the hunters had any luck with him. So Daryl, that's the idiot over there, Daryl thought he'd try his hand against him. All he had to show for his effort was that ugly scar over his eye. Kill the bear, and I'm sure even Daryl would be speechless for once. Old Sooty! So you're playing as a Murloc, Zoan? Not a Murloc deck. You are playing a Murloc.
Great to meet you.
Oh, how do you got for me? Oh, goods of the finest quality. Good work getting these.
Safe travels. What's on your mind?
You got those wasps? Oh, lovely specimens you've got there. Here's my wager.
Off with you.
You just... That's my impression of an aggro deck. Hopefully it's accurate. Who's Daryl Dixon? Oh, Daryl, right, the guy I was just talking about. My bad. Apparently Murloc deck. Wow. Well, there's effectively 3 types of elves. Ah, gotcha. Thank you, Alex. There's the type of elf that is a blood elf. Then no, there is not, Agamemnon. Then there's the type of elf that's a high elf. The only actual difference between those two is their eyes. That's the only visual distinction. Then there's Night Elves, who actually look fairly different from Blood Elves. Admittedly, the dragons don't help any, but we were basically just talking to a High Elf. A squirrel deck? Wow. So if you want to make fun of me, I'll go ahead and give you guys another target. You know what I enjoy most about Hearthstone? The solo adventures. I like the themed bosses style approach to it. I like the hard modes especially. Those are freaking brutal, at least in my opinion. And I love the additional little bits of voice acting that help make it fun. I like those a lot, actually. I admittedly don't actually have a good enough decks, plural, to beat all of them, which is why I haven't yet, but yeah. Although, there's also one other change that Hearthstone made. I should have saved doing it for live on camera, but I did it like the moment I realized I could. So with the new deck system, you can actually delete a default deck instead of keeping them around forever. I don't know if you could do that before, but I didn't see any method by which you could do so. So I deleted the Garrosh deck. So, yeah. So I have an odd question for you, Zoan, if you don't mind my asking. Other than the fact that she's, out for herself, what is it you don't like about Moira? I think that's incredibly ridiculously stupid, Zoan, especially since the reason for doing so is either flat out a lie or simply wrong. So, yeah. I was tempted, Zoan. I have literally never played Warrior, and I could prove it. I still don't even have any of the cards for Warrior earned. I have not played a single match as Warrior because I refuse to play as Garrosh. What? You can buy a different avatar for it. I have never actually gotten around to spending the money on buying a different avatar for it. Like I said, I'm just not what you'd call super invested in Hearthstone. I haven't actually spent a lot of money on it. In fact, I've basically spent no money on it. Everything I've purchased has been with gold. What the hell's... I know what you're asking. Well, what did you mean? Nothing. Like I said, I don't know the cards enough to actually build my own deck, so I've been playing default decks for a while. Now, I know what some of you are saying. Wait a minute, I've seen you play custom decks. Yes, you have. Decks that I literally threw together with random... It would, like, without thinking about it. Just here, card, here, done. She's a but you don't like liars and schemers, Joker? Why not? That also means the Joker doesn't like himself. Anyways. I suppose that is valid. The reason I kind of asked is... Whoa, God, that is right there, isn't it? The reason I asked is I find myself wondering what would happen if she does continue her current arc. Because at this point, she has stopped being an idiot bad guy and has started becoming an intelligent bad guy. So there's two directions she could go into at this point. She could either become an even better villain and actually start taking over. And again, I remind you, the dwarves are very united right now, as of the end of Pandaria. Or she could go the other direction with it and actually have a redemption arc. Or, and there is admittedly a third option here. We could kill Little Smokey. The third option is that she could become an idiot. Which hopefully they will not do. God, Ironforge would be harder to siege than Orgrimmar was. In lore, I mean. That's crazy. There we go. Now, I just want to point out something. We'll talk about this a lot later when we get to the Twilight Highlands, but that is actually the Twilight Bastion. Yes, I got the link. What are you linking me? Also, what does Leshian mean? Yeah, let me mute everything. I have to mute everything whenever I pull up a YouTube after that one time. A lesson in... Okay, gotcha. I'll save that for later. So yeah, we've got... some people have asked me, where is the actual Twilight Bastion? Good question. Right about here. Obviously straight down. But again, we'll show that off later. Like I said, I don't want a redemption story with Moira. I want her to become even more of an intelligent villain. And I want her to win. I actually do legitimately want her to succeed in her... No, Baronessa! Damn it, you've damned us all. I want her to succeed at being an intelligent villain. I want her to take over. I want her to become, like, the ruler of Ironforge, of the dwarves, of the new Dwarven Empire. I also have to admit, the pragmatist in me can't help but point out that because players have been bitching and moaning for years about how there's no alliance content in the game, they are fundamentally wrong, by the way, but it would be a nice way to have alliance content if we had this whole plot arc. How did I get down there? If they had this whole plot arc about how Moira and the new Dwarven Empire kind of get started, you know what I mean? And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, oh, she would never do the horrible atrocities that Garrosh did. Of course she wouldn't. And that's kind of my point. Rather than her turning into this big maniacal ha-ha-ha thing, you know, the butcher and the murderer that Garrosh was, turn her into a more intelligent villain, the kind of villain who is really well supported. Turn her into someone who is genuinely trying to make Ironforge powerful. Yes, cold streams. That is kind of the idea. Okay. Crap. There it is. God. I would like to say that I couldn't see Magatha joining Moira. I would like to say I can't see Moira joining Magatha. I'm not sure if either of those statements are actually true, unfortunately. I am also in favor of Magatha just frickin' dying. Just in general. That's a thing that I'm in favor of all the time, always. Forever. Interesting perspective, Coldstreams. I will take that to heart. I'll also go sell soon, because holy crap. Moonshots! I would say yes, personally, Hylisk, but that's a judgment call at that point. Well, see, that's generally the direction Moira has been going in. Moira has generally been uniting and fixing the Dwarven people a lot. There's actually this really great quest in Pandaria, which, forgive me for kind of talking about in advance, but it boils down to both of the primary Dwarven people, the Bronzebeards and the Wildhammers, were like, oh, we'll never help the Alliance. Screw the Alliance. And there's more to it than that. But that was the general gist of it. And Moira says, no, we'll help you. And Varian's like, what? Now, this is especially important since that means she was actually supporting Varian, someone who threatened to kill her, I want to re-stress. But the whole point of that, the whole takeaway from that whole thing, is the fact that, did I seriously say that, Mind Blast? God, I'm terrible. The whole takeaway from that is that Moira was ingratiating herself to Varian. She was politically, publicly shaming the other dwarves, showing herself as the reasonable, intelligent, wise one, and getting in good with the major military leader of the foreign powers. Oh, okay, gotcha, Mind Blast. So in one simple maneuver, Moira has increased her position and prestige dramatically. What are you linking me, Permeus? The wild beards are the best dwarves in all the land. Oh, I'm level 20. Hang on. Oh, I can't do it yet. I haven't trained it yet. Damn it. Soon. Soon I will go train riding. Probably off camera. And then we will finally have a gun. Finally. Yeah, I killed that bear for you.
Hey there.
Ah, Deutsch, back so soon? No doubt you've been at the hunt again. Don't worry if you've had some setbacks. In the long run, it'll make you better. You couldn't get much worse, anyway. What's this? A bear's head, by the look of it. He runs a finger along his scar unconsciously. Well, that's quite interesting kill you have there. Could be that bear that... He starts to visibly shake. Oh, get that thing away. Get it away from me! Get that grizzly thing away from me! Ah, Light, don't bring that thing into the lodge. It's unsanitary, unspeakable. It's unsanitary. Just get it out of here, will you? No one wants to see your bloody little trophy. Really?
Safe travels.
Here's another ding with him. That's true, Zawan. You could go kill Moira if you were. Hey, King Goldar.
Can I help you?
Okay, yes, I have been misinformed. Apparently bobcats are much smaller than I was assuming, but it's still pretty dangerous for gnomes. You've done a good thing for the safety of this lodge.
Alrighty then.
For me, at least. Maybe not the others.
Can I help you?
Perfect. Now that I've perfected the wing balance and have all the parts I need, all we need is a pilot.
Off and away.
Why don't we skip that quest for just a
I'm
second?
listening.
Great job. We really showed him. Give me that head and I'll take care of it. Thanks for helping me out with my little plan. I've been itching for months to get back at that snooty, stuck-up boy. I'd say we did a pretty good job. Here, you've earned your reward. Wow. Also, note the eyes. Clearly a high elf.
Hi, how are you?
They're here hunting, Origin. I'm not making the Sky Strider for me, Deutsch. Not even for Gnomrigan. I want my son to be the one to fly it. I'm old. My reflexes aren't what they used to be. But my boy, Ando, could be the best pilot Azeroth's ever seen if he'd just get over his teenage moodiness. He sits out by the lock staring at the sky all day. Something's been bothering him, and yet he refuses to talk to his own father about it. I'm at a loss. Please, Deutsch, could you go talk to him?
Be seeing you.
Okay.
Hello.
No, Permeus. From what I understand, you actually have to level a character to 20. Ding at 20, and that's what gives you the achievement. You notice I just got it live on camera. Although, I might have had it before. But that's how it was explained to me. You have to actually ding 20. on a character. Good news is that takes, like, no time at all. Bad news is it does, you gotta go do it. I remember the High Elves from Vanilla. In fact, they're still in the game in at least one spot that I'm aware of. The Ghostlands during the Blood Elf starter area. Also known as one of the only zones that's really stuck in the past. Speaking of which, you notice we've been doing a couple of instances kind of out of order. I wanted to talk about that a little bit. Most of the instances in the game, most of the dungeons, the 5-mans, whatever you want to call them, I usually refer to them as instances, they have been updated for the fact that the story has moved on. So most of them are no longer the old versions. Most of them are now new, updated stuff, which is why I'll be doing them in the order that they happen in the actual story. So that it's like, for example, Scarlet Monastery is a good example of a dungeon I will do after we go through some Forsaken stuff, to use one example. Not all of them were updated, though. Moradon wasn't updated. BRD wasn't updated. Trying to think what else. There were a few that weren't updated that we have gone through already. And all of those kind of didn't quite fit in the storyline, since most of those actually happened technically in the past, as opposed to in the present. But we're all through with all of those. We are officially done with all of the instances that have not been updated. So from this point on, it's all Kata all the time. Until we get to Pandaria, that it's all Pandaria all the time, and so forth and so on. It is kind of weird. I sort of get why they haven't updated all of them, but at the same time, it does make it kind of strange to go effectively. This is another example of MMO time. Let's say you're questing in the Searing Gorge, which is definitely updated for Kata. And it's like, alright, Kata, and then your dungeon queue pops, and you go into BRD, which happened like 8 years ago. And then you go back to the present. You know, it's just, anyways. So Moira completely takes over the dwarves or the Alliance?
Things.
I don't care about my father and his silly inventions. It's just nonsense. Look at them. The Twilight's Hammers ruined this land. No Deathwing ruined this land. The cult caused the cataclysm and broke the stone rot dam and drained the entire loch, and now they wander around the ruins like it's their home. If there was any justice in this world, someone would march into their camp and break that artifact of theirs in half. But I'm too weak to even try it. And nobody else is brave enough either. Not even you. You see? It's all so stupid.
Alrighty then.
You're right. I am not brave enough to do this. I'm out. Peace. It is worth noting that eventually they could rebuild this area. The devastation to this area is actually repairable without even using magical means. Yeah, Baroness, I'm a little surprised they don't do that. So as you can see, this was the dam over here. It's, yeah. You can see bits and pieces of it down there going down the mountains and into the wetlands, which is now more wet than it was before, obviously. You can kind of see there were dwarven images carved in here, and they had a slow, gradual trickle design to go down to feed the wetlands, which also made sure that the loch did not actually become overly filled with the water. It was perfectly designed mathematically to maintain the lake and to maintain the terrain. And yeah, now, well, the lake is gone, as you can see. There were actually a few quests about this dam back in the day, mostly about trying to sabotage it. Namely, it's actually kind of funny because the original Dark Iron Dwarves, aka the Shadowforged Dwarves now, were specifically trying to destroy the dam. Yeah, ironic, right? Excuse me. That's kind of my overall idea, Hylisk. I mean, I know we've said this a trillion times, but that is my overall idea. Both. Booth. 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 I went booth, damn it. So let's say that Moira takes over the dwarves. There's a lot of ways you could take that story-wise. I'm really torn on that. Oh god, fissures in the void. Ugh. Seriously, that was a void fissure right there. I'd have to think about that, Zoan. There are a lot of ways you could take that. I admit I do really enjoy the idea of a villain who is not the Burning Legion, who is not the Horde versus Alliance, who is not the Old Gods, who is not the Scourge, who is, in other words, just a villain. A villain all in their own right and all in their own. A villain with popular support and the people at her back who has actually made, you know, the forces there strong. And then you're left with this question, well, what do we do about that, right? How do we prevent her from continuing to be evil? And the obvious way to take that as something I would definitely not want to do. It's like, oh, suddenly she's consumed by the Legion, or she's consumed by the Netherzeum, or she's consumed by the Void, or whatever. I don't want to do any of that crap with her. We've got other villains we can do with that. I want someone who is a villain without any of that. And, yeah, I basically like the idea of her taking the lead of the Alliance, and the dwarves in general, I should say, taking the lead of the Alliance, and once again becoming the cornerstone of the entire Alliance, and slowly just kind of building up and getting stronger and getting more entrenched, and, you know, slowly building them up over several expansions until they really are an empire. Yeah, that's kind of the idea, Cloudy. She kind of is already.
Good day to you.
Funnily enough, both Moira and Garrosh both had their climbs to power at relatively the same time. You did it! You did it! You fought them and won. Well, there's hope after all. You've done what I thought was impossible. I'm done moping around here. It's time to gnome up. I've got to find my father, but you! Don't bother yourself with me any longer. You've got to keep fighting these cultists. Go talk to Ashland Stonesmirk to the east. He's been trying to stop the Twilight's Hammer, but has nobody to help him. You're his only hope. Don't give up, Deutsch. I won't.
Very good.
See you around, Coldstreams. Have a good one, and thank you. So, I'm sorry, we've been talking about this, the whole Moira thing. I gotta point out something really quick. The Twilight's Hammer here had a device called a Land Shaper. If you notice, the trees around where they are there are blackened and dark, and the actual land around there is kind of messed up. If you've ever wondered, no, I get that, so on. You've made your stance perfectly clear. I've pointed out what Twilight terrain looks like before. And it's that sort of twisting, you know, you see it moving and shifting as you're walking it kind of thing. We got a really good shot of that when we were going through the Thousand Needles, for example. That is something they actually do to the land. They actually shape it with void energies to twist it and warp it into this sort of chaotic mesh of elemental and void power. And so the whole point here is that they were actually around here trying to turn the entirety of the loch here into, or the Loch Modan, I should say, into another Twilight stronghold, which makes sense since I want to stress once again that right there is their capital. That is the center of the Twilight's Hammer's power, right there. That is the capital of all the Twilight's Hammer. Right there. It's literally like, if I could go over these mountains, I would be at it. But yeah.
What's on your mind?
And you're welcome, King Goldar. I'm glad you like it. You hit the Twilight's camp at the center of the lake? Not bad, lad. If you're ready to take the fight to their doorstep, I've got your chance.
Keep your feet on the ground.
Let's go fight some Twilight bastards. The cultists of the Twilight's Hammer use their powers to draw elementium metal from deep beneath the earth. They coax it out into twisted spikes to form their buildings, rooted right into the defiled ground. The ogres here seem to be in the middle of weaving the stuff, and we need to strike while they're still twisting it into shape. Tear the spikes out of the ground while they're still pliable, and bring them back to me. We're not giving them 1 inch of our land.
Safe travels.
The Twilight's Hammer started as a clan of the Savage Horde. That's true. If you're playing a dwarf character, this is the first time you've ever encountered the Twilight's Hammer, so they gotta kind of explain what they are to you. Their leader, Cho'Gall, slowly turned his band of ogres into a death cult, welcoming anyone insane enough to wish for the end of all existence. As you can see, there is still plenty of ogres amongst the rakes. Deranged, fanatical, and not just as strong as before. These crude monsters have the gall to come here and spread their filth on our land. The more you kill, the better off Loch Modan will be, Deutsch.
Keep your feet on the ground.
I do actually remember that, Ricky. I don't think that was intentional, though. Oh, that reminds me. Thank you for reminding me, Reach. There we go. Hi, Reach. And hey, Yellow Lantern. Or Joseph the Yellow Lantern. Sorry, get the whole name out there. Hey, you should join our guild. Yeah, join a guild. Woo, join the guild. I could talk about Shogal, but I'd kind of like to save that discussion for later. God, it's right frickin' there. Look at this. In fact, we'll get up close. I don't know, Reach. It certainly wasn't several donators who are all awesome for doing it. Scourge Lord Hype, indeed. Hoip, I should say. I believe Zeiss was the one who donated for Skittles. Yeah, let's talk about Modan. So last night, this is not a joke, last night I was actually talking to my sister, and I mentioned how someone had insulted me earlier by talking about how Zalosh, a character I've put a lot of work and effort into, and one she's well familiar with, was a Mary Sue. And I was like, and she's like, what's a Mary Sue? And I was like, well, I can't explain that in summary. And she's like, you can't explain anything in summary, brother. Just tell me the explanation. So I explained what a Mary Sue was to her. And, we talked back and forth about that a lot. And she was like, okay, can you give me an example of a Mary Sue in World of Warcraft? I said, I absolutely can. Modan. Her reaction made me laugh so hard. Her reaction was, who's Modan? I loved that reaction. My actual answer to her was, that is the correct response. Keep in mind, my dear sister actually knows WoW lore pretty well. Partially because she's my sister, and partially because she's interested enough in it to read up on it. And she legitimately had no idea who Modan was. So, that was kind of awesome. So, do you mean that question seriously, Mind Blast? Because I can answer that seriously. There are actually 3 definitions. I'll even cover all of them for you. What's up, Gnarlex? What's up? Do I have to stab you? I'm ready to stab, Gnarlex. I'm ready. Just give me the word. The word is bird. Frickin' college. Hope it's going well for you. Alright, I won't stab you, Gnarlex. Everyone else needs to go stab Gnarlex really quick. Let's talk about vanilla really, really quick here. First of all, this used to be a vanilla zone, a vanilla quest thing. In fact, this used to be a lot of Alliance players' first encounter with an elite mob. The other common one was Hogger. Now, Hogger was more popular because more people played humans than dwarves. But this, several people, myself included, this was actually our first exposure to an elite character. I forget the name of him. It was one of the Mogrosh here. The Mogrosh ogres had this whole area, and they weren't slaves of the Twilight's Hammer. They were just another ogre tribe who had taken a troll ruin. This actually used to be a troll area right here. Big surprise, right? Now, I can kind of explain what I meant about the terrain, because you see that right there? Look how it's literally spilling over into the Loch Modan area. That is Twilight terrain. That's basically void earth right there. Remember how I've pointed out what bloodstone is? That is void earth, void dirt, or void stone, whatever you want to call it. It is completely infused with void energies. Which means, yes, in case you're paying attention, if you're standing on it and you just sit there, or God forbid actually fall asleep on it for a while, it will literally start sapping you into it. Not physically, I mean just your life and your energy and all that fun stuff. I do too, Midgerstorm. I remember back when elites were a really big deal. And we were like, "Wah!" Alright, what's this Hearthstone video? What are you linking me? Before I look at that, I want to see if my package has been delivered. Nope, still out for delivery. Oh, right. Of course they're going to mention Modan when it comes to Cthulhu, because Modan defeated Cho'Gall, after all. Well, then it just kind of eats away at your blood and soul and all those other fun things. Okay, so let's define Mary Sue really quick. Now, the most common definition of Mary Sue is a character I don't like. Say what you like, that is the truth. Most people use that as a generic insult. You know, I don't like this character, therefore they are a Mary Sue. It is intended to be an insult because it's, you know the answer to that, Braven. It's intended to be an insult because if you're writing a Mary Sue, you are a bad writer. The second definition of Mary Sue is the more casual definition, which is basically too strong of a character. Someone who lives through too much, defeats too much, or is too difficult to be defeated. If you're paying attention, that defines a huge number of characters. But that is one of the more accepted definitions of a Mary Sue character. My definition of a Mary Sue character is, of course, a little bit more complicated because it's me. I define a Mary Sue character, if I was to summarize it, it's a character that cheats. What I mean by cheats is the player character is not a Mary Sue by my definition because we have actually earned it. We have worked our way up over years of experience and work and effort, going from being a regular old Joe to being an adventurer to being more of a a centerpiece, to being an actual main character, to being a leader, to being a general. We've earned our way up there. The mere fact that we have earned the fact that we are as strong as we are in lore, by my definition, pretty much divorces the PC from being a Mary Sue. Now, if let's say we introduce a character out of absolutely nowhere, yes, that is actually my point, Baronessa. If we introduce a character out of absolutely nowhere called, Modan, and he just shows up and he's amazingly powerful. He just shows up and he is ridiculously powerful. That's cheating. You don't show how he earned it. You don't show how he worked up to it. You don't show the struggle he went through. You don't show the effort he went through. You don't show him in any way earning our belief that he is a strong character. He's just powerful. A Mary Sue also tends to be very well liked by other people. Oh, I hate you, Hylisk. I hate you, Hylisk. I still don't have one of those. Like, for example, yes, Kai Lang is definitely a Mary Sue character. Were you in 10-man or are you in 25-man, Hylisk? Because that's relevant for something I'll talk about in a minute. Actually, I'll just type it here a minute. If you so Ronin is actually commonly called a ridiculously well-liked character. This is a man who managed to get along with absolutely everyone, all the time, always, without incident or without problem. He never earned that. There was no him getting along with them. There was no him being disliked by others. There was no him trying to reach out and form a bond of fellowship and make a common ground. No, he was there and he was well-liked. Takoida's definition earlier is actually a fairly accurate one. A Mary Sue character is someone who bends the narrative around them rather than anything else that's available for happening there. A Mary Sue is a definitively badly written character. Because what is actually happening is a form of lazy writing. Rather than actually showing their work, rather than actually accomplishing anything, rather than trying to have a character have some depth or meaning to them, they just make them awesome, and that's the only bullet point that defines them. Whether they're awesome because they're well-loved, or they're awesome because they're super powerful, or they're amazingly beautiful, or they're incredible at everything, or no matter what, or they just happen to be incredible at everything they do without reason or cause or explanation. And that last part's important. They just are amazing. That's pretty much a Mary Sue as a character. No, Charlord, I've been streaming for a bit. Now, I stress that definition Because you could look at other characters and say, well, this character is a Mary Sue then. And it's like, no, because they don't fully fit that definition. To use an example, some say Superman is a Mary Sue character. Now, I'm not going to deny that certain writers write Superman as a Mary Sue character, but I would argue to the ends of the earth that Superman as an aggregate is not a Mary Sue character. Most of the really excellent stories about Superman really focus on how much of a difficulty he has dealing with the more intangible things. Yeah, he can punch a problem to death, but he can't do anything with anything else. He has to constantly hold himself back. He has to constantly try and find that balance point of interacting and not interacting. There's this great this great scene, maybe Baroness can tell you what it is, where Superman is talking with Dr. Doom, and Dr. Doom basically says, you decide the fate of this world no matter what. Whether you are doing something or not doing something, your presence is so powerful that you change history regardless. And Superman was aware of that. And that burden is part of his character, right? And Superman is not liked by everyone, and he's, you know, etc., etc. You see where I'm going with this. In other words, I do not think Revan or Shepard fall into the category of Mary Sue, no. By the definitions that I use, my third definition, I do not think that those define as a Mary Sue. Yeah, no kidding, Tim's up. So that's why it's usually used as an insult, and that's why it's such a hot button word. And I do feel some people use it with the Type 1 or the Type 2 definitions, which, as we've already described, are basically non-definitions. There's so much that could be said. There's so many characters that could fit those definitions. Now, here's a controversial statement. You ready for this, guys? So I'm going to hit you. I don't think Thrall is a Mary Sue character. I do think he's gotten a little bit too much attention as a character, because, you know, he's Metzen's golden boy, but I do not think he is a Mary Sue character. I think he has had a very logical, well-reasoned path to power from literally a child, has gone through hell and back in order to earn it, has not been well-loved by everyone, is not perfect at everything, makes mistakes constantly, is a very flawed character, and also has been stripped of all of his power more than once. By any measure, I can't actually say that Thrall is a Mary Sue character. Any more than you could say Varian is a Mary Sue character. Or Jaina, you know? I literally cannot see by any definition how Thrall is a Mary Sue. Unless you're going by the definition of he gets a lot of screen time. In which case, you know? But that's just my controversial statement for the day. Let's go ahead and do some more quests.
What can I do for you?
Oh, to tear up the spikes. Shame that these half-formed things are too brittle and warped to be used for some weapons of our own. Oh yeah, that's exactly what I use. Elementium, just... Well, it's thanks to you we had a chance to get them out before they sit. I'm not about to complain.
Safe travels.
It may look grim, but we'll win with your help. They won't keep the dwarves down. Ding. The Orkers left to watch over these crude fools goes by the name of Gorkresh. This is big enough to boss even these brutes around, and he's cunning to boot. Never assume an ogre's stupid. That's when they'll get you. If you take him out, we'll show the Twilight's Hammer that Loch Modan isn't a stepping stone for them. Stand strong and drive these fools back into the Highlands.
Be good.
Yeah, I know, right? What'd I just get? Counter shot, that goes here. Can I come up with Mary Sue's in Final Fantasy? I don't think I can, no. In Star Wars, let's not talk about that. There's some EU works where there's definitely some Mary Sue going on. Warcraft, I've already given you an example. Modan is a perfect example of a Mary Sue. Scroll up. Kingdom Hearts. I can't think of any that fit my definition of Mary Sue in Kingdom Hearts either, off the top of my head. I also agree that Vol'jin should not have been a Mary Sue. Or, Vol'jin should not have been a war chief. I agree with what Baronessa said, too. Batman has been made an interesting character many times, but he has been made into a Mary Sue. In fact, there was a joke amongst Going Faster Reach? There's been a joke amongst several comic fans, I don't know if you've ever heard this one, Baronessa, of the idea that Batman stories just got disinteresting because it got to the point of where Batman would just show up and win. Like, he'd just show up and he's like, I'm Batman. And then he would win because he's Batman. And the sad thing is that's not quite a joke. There are several writers who did do exactly that. Who literally had him show up and just say, I win. Okay, I can define it very easily, Rich. You see this? You see how I'm going faster here? This is faster than this. I could go even faster if I did something else. Yeah, but Batman beat Darkseid with a gun. Batman has beaten Darkseid many other times, too. Oh, so the original term Mary Sue, I'm not actually sure where it came from, but to my knowledge, the term was originally intended to mean a author surrogate. And I believe that came from an author named Mary. I could be totally freaking wrong about this. Feel free to... Oh, at least a day origin. Feel free to correct me, because I'm terrible. Well, I could be using faster mounts, Reach. There are downsides to using faster mounts, but I could do that. Anyways, so the idea of the author surrogate, for those who don't know what that means, making yourself in a work of fiction, which itself is not a crime, by the way. I want to point that out. There's nothing wrong with writing yourself in your stories. And then making your character super amazing at everything. And that's where we get to the Mary Sue problem. Down you go. Actually, yeah, it's the self-insert thing. By the way, I am fully guilty of doing self-insert as well, as I've pointed out. Many times, actually. Yeah. See you around, Azura. And if you want to make fun of me for that, you're more than welcome to. I have to admit, I am probably more strict in my definition of Mary Sue than most people are. The main... That's a good point, Reach. The main reason for that, though, is because I have gotten very tired over the last, say, 10 years ago. 10 years or so, of people just flinging that term around to describe anyone they don't like. As I've actually pointed out before, the first most common definition I hear of a Mary Sue character is a character I don't like. You know?
What's on your mind?
You done it. I might not have stopped the Cold Dead, but we've shown them we're not easy pickings, and given them a whale to prove it. Take this with my gratitude, and try not to blush if anyone tells about Kazuhiro. You've done great work here. While you were out, that young Ando fellow was looking for you. Said something about a metal bird.
See you soon.
Okay. Bingo, Gnarlex. I don't even want to talk about that because it'll just start a whole argument all over again. But yeah.
Hi, how are you?
It's working! My father brought it in. Father finished the Sky Strider. It's amazing. Once we get the bugs worked out, I'm going to use it to fight for justice. Just like you. I know you've got to move on and help other people being a hero and all, but how about a ride? I'm going to take the Sky Shroud on its first flight, and I'll be honored if you join me. I'll drop you off at Algaz Station.
Very well, then.
No, wait, okay. No, Origin. Let's just not even get into it. I don't even want to talk about it for the 15 hyperbillionth time. Hey, Deacon. I want this mount. Can I have this mount? By the way, there's a good shot of the dam. God, they really just did a number on this thing. Oh God, Zoan, that's terrifying. What kind of millimeter weapons do you think the ogres could wield? Oh, you're fine, Deacon. I understand. Really.
What's on your mind?
What in blazes was that? A flying Mechanostrider? You know what? I don't want to know. I'm just gonna pretend that didn't happen. We'll be all nice and businesslike.
Off with you.
Sure, you've seen just how bad the damage to the lock is by now. The damage spreads further than that, I'm afraid. All the water had to go somewhere, and it went into the wetlands. There's a lot of fine dwarves down there are trying to help out, and they need supplies. That's why I sent two of my mountaineers ahead with a cask of ale. I haven't heard back from them. Would you mind checking up on them?
Be good.
I would mind horribly. So we are officially done with Loch Modan, and soon we will go on to the Wetlands.